Welcome to another Squad Games video. I'm Dakotah, and this is my co-host, Giacomo. We're here to talk to you about crit ops and tac ops and the maps. Today we're doing not only a reveal, but we're going to be discussing what might be best for each one and the crit ops and kind of our expert insight. If none of you know who we are, and this is your first time turning into the channel, we both run the Las Vegas Open, including Saya for the past 3 years, and multiple of the other biggest events in the United States. We also have a battle report that is dropping today where we run the Canoptic Circle versus Death Watch. And yeah, so make sure you go check that out. It's our second time with the teams. You have to see if Giacomo got better or if I got better with the Canoptic Circle, and how the new crit op system kind of affected the matchup, because I think it affected it quite drastically.
We want to thank Games Workshop for giving us an advanced copy of the new crit ops pack so that we can bring this to you and you guys can enjoy it too.
All right. Giacomo, are you ready to get the show on the road?
I sure am. So let's begin this now.
Cool. So first up, this is a Lord of the Rings mat, which
dope.
Automatically makes me cool. But we get this card for our podcast listeners. It is a Death Watch versus the leader of the Canoptic Circle. It's very cool. It's a front and back kind of like pretty card, and this is the Crit Ops 2. A couple things heavily changed this edition for the approved mission packs. So this new approved ops specifically says that we have to choose a primary, right? Which the other one I think did, but it didn't say you had to.
Right, you could choose.
Right
you could accidentally miss it.
Yeah, I think this is the old one. This is the old one right here. So as a strategic gambit in the first turning point, and then this one is like your primary op. You know, I don't know if it's the exact same wording.
Technically, it's a step, and this is just reminding you, which is important. So, like, you know.
Yeah.
And it says you select it. So
on the first thing here, Giacomo, do you want to take us through the setup battle and setup operatives? There is a few changes, but not a ton of changes.
Not a lot. So if you're used to it, it's not too bad, but I'll run you through this real quick. So each player selects your kill team. You've done that before. We determine the kill zone and you set up the terrain. You make sure that everything is all correct there. You tell them what type of board you're playing on. You determine one shared crit up and set up objective markers. So, you have the mission and you have the objective markers on the kill zone. And then this
right here is the biggest change. The next
right
bullet
here.
point.
So you roll off and the winner decides who has initiative, which then the player with initiative selects your drop zone, then their opponent has the other drop zone and gets the reroll initiative card. This is the first big change.
Yes.
And a cool thing, since you get to pick the initiative as the winner of the roll off, you can decide who gets to have that initiative.
Yeah. So this is the old one and this is the new one, right? As you can see, the last bullet point is pretty much the only thing that changed.
Mm-hmm. Because it's the card now is big. This is a new thing they're trying.
We will get into the card in a second. So essentially you would roll off, the winner decides who has initiative, right? So if I win the roll off, I could say, I do not want initiative. You could have initiative. So you would select your drop zone, and then I would get the reroll initiative card. So you have to choose, do you want this re-roll your initiative or do you want to select your side? That's essentially what's happening if you win the roll-off. I believe under select operatives, I believe it's the same.
Yeah, so not too much is changing here. Everything kind of goes from there. And this one we're also used to. So you set up your equipments before, then you set up your models alternating, and you always round up when you're deploying. So if you have a total of 5, it'll be 2, 2, 1. Very simple. Yeah. We've done it before. Everyone has a conceal order.
Now, play the battle is where a lot of stuff changes, like a dramatic amount of stuff, because guess what? Scouting option is gone. So if we look here between the two, right, we have like scouting, This one is just play the battle.
Yep,
right?
We no longer have the scouting step, which, to be fair, most of the time you were taking dash or equipment. No one was ever taking the free player. It was rare. I think I saw it maybe once or twice, realistically. So that was kind of just like what was the reason? Let's kind of recreate it. And I think this new way it seems okay so far, but I would need to play it more to really decide whether I think it's good or not.
Yeah. So essentially, both players get to roll initiative during each turning point, including the first. So you immediately have a chance to use the reroll card after you've won this card, right? Um, and then there's no more ties either, right? But that's besides the point. So um, basically, every time that you would roll off to see who goes first, you'd have a chance to use this card. If you choose not to use this card, everything proceeds as normal, or any of the cards that I'm about to show you guys. If you want to use like a faction ability, a faction card, you must use your faction card before you use an initiative card.
So that'd be
Okay?
something like Casterkin allowing their ability to reroll.
Correct. And then this is very simple. You can get the initiative reroll if you lose initiative for the drop zone. And then if you lose the first turning point, you get the +1 or -1 card. You might use the -1 card on your, you might try to reroll to get this one, or use your -1 on the next turning point to get a +2. You also get at the beginning of turning point 2, if you lose that one, you would select this one. And then if you lose the third, you would get +or -3. So the initiative has changed quite dramatically. Giacomo, our battle report, before we go into the rest of these, our battle report, we experienced the brand new roles, right? Mm-hmm. What did you think? Did it change anything?
I want to say that the dice rolls we had didn't fully allow us to really benefit from the cards. So if you watch the episode, you'll know what we mean. And so I want to keep trying it before I ultimately make a decision.
Yeah, it felt very... I feel like these could come in handy every now and then, but I feel like I went first twice and you went first twice, and it didn't really matter,
Yeah.
And so that's how and sometimes that's how the game's going to be. This is not a cheese your way to get more. That's going to piss some people off, and it's going to excite some others.
Yeah, I think ultimately this change is a little nicer because now you're not having as much guys that can try to do like an alpha strike or an alpha move. You're definitely not getting extra equipment, so you may not always have the extra tools you need. So this is a new way to play it. It changes more than we might be thinking.
The problem is with this, there's no more scouting step. That means everyone who really relied on a 5th equipment doesn't get that anymore, especially on Into the Dark maps.
Yeah.
Right. So now it's which I really enjoy and I really like. And this also makes Gallowdark even better, right? Because now they can get rid of one and now you're stuck to 3, right? So there is some kind of, there's some sauce starting to happen now that people are starting to have to choose things that are actually like needed rather than just, I get every equipment choice that I want.
Right. And this will be important, right? Like, so I'm assuming whenever the next either FAQ or the next balanced data slate comes up, any teams that are affected by this are going to get some kind of update to work in the new crit op system.
Because Gallowdark, you're gonna need light barricades or a heavy barricade, because guess what? They didn't change any GW maps, and those things are just full empty hallways. You're in an empty hallway of a ship, right? If you play our maps, right, it's a lot. You get a little bit more variety, But if you're playing a GW map, if you don't take light barricades or heavy barricades, you're in a whole ton of mess. All right. So it's very simple. Basically, if there is ever a tie, the player who currently doesn't have initiative is the winner. So if you're using all these cards and you come out that you have a tie, the person who didn't have initiative now has initiative. So it's very simple. Okay. Also, as a strategic gambit in the first turning point, each person selects one of their crit ops to be their primary op. So this is different from the last one. This is in play the battle. This is a required step. Somebody can no longer forget to select a primary,
Hmm.
right? That was never the intention, but people at the beginning of the edition argued that it might have been, right? And I think we all came together as a community and was like, no, you can never forget a primary, right?
Right.
Let's not be like that, right?
Don't be like that to your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Now
And
you
then
can't.
each player can score a maximum of 6 VP from each op. So that's crit op and kill op. There is some cards which don't specify how many you can score per round or when you can score them on certain things. So we'll kind of go through some of those. Um, it's not terrible, but there are certain things that are like, okay, well, you could score more than 6, 100%. So you can only score 6.
Yes, that's the
Um,
max.
yeah, so we'll get to that. And then at the end of the battle, G, do you want to take us over from 5th? Did anything change in this?
I don't think too much changed from here. So the battle ends after the first turning point has been
Nope.
completed. And if one player has no operatives in the kill zone, but the battle's ended, the player with the most points wins. Or you keep
Mm-hmm.
playing until it does, and you ultimately score points. You reveal your primary up, and then the most VP wins. That's it. Otherwise, it's a draw. Very similar
Yes.
from last time. Nothing really changed there.
So the only real changes are this bullet point, pretty much all of 4, right? And then all of 4, and then nothing in 5. Those are
Yep.
pretty much the big changes.
Because since they had to take out that recon step, we had to change a lot, and I think this is fine. I don't dislike it so far. I'm
Yeah.
enjoying the times I've played.
Mm-hmm. So we have initiative done. We have that done. Giacomo, do you want to go over which TAC op would you like to go over first?
Ooh, let's start with security. That's a classic.
Security?
Yeah, security is a classic.
So firstly, we have, I think, is the worst. I think we should rank these, Giacomo, from worst to best for each one.
Okay,
right?
I can do that.
So we can do some sort of a ranking, right? Now the hard thing is with ranking, some of these TAC ops are better for different teams, right? So like Plant Banner might be really good for certain teams, and it might be really bad for others. So we'll kind of go through them. You guys will see what we're talking about here shortly. So Plant Banner, pretty cool. G, do you want to take us over on this one, or?
Sure. Yeah, I can start us off. So, as a mission action for 1 AP, you can place your mission marker within your operative's control range, whoever's the active operative, and as long as you're wholly within your opponent's territory and not within 5 inches of a neutral kill zone edge. Your operatives can perform the pickup marker action on your banner as well. So at the end of each turning point after the first, if your banner mission marker is wholly within your opponent's territory and friendly operatives control it, you score a VP. If that's true and no enemy operatives contest it, you score 2 VP instead. And note that your banner mission marker must be in the kill zone to score and not being carried. So it's got to be on the ground. You're planting your banner. This one
And then you're defending it.
And then you're defending it. This one seems more decent if you have, I would say, a bigger team. So I probably wouldn't. I mean, you probably could do it with elites because they can defend pretty well, but I'd rather have more bodies that might be able to plant this near the end to score me points. That's how I would look at it. What do you think?
I think that this is probably the worst of the security. In my personal opinion, I think that it adds a lot of agency to your opponent. Your opponent could stop playing the game to kill your TAC op. This is really good for teams that have operatives that can really get really far into your deployment zone. I'm not sure of any security teams that have like super fast. I don't think like Mandrakes have security, right? What do Mandrakes have? Do they have infiltration and seek and destroy? Probably.
Probably, if I remember right.
Yeah. So if there's a team out there that has really fast moving operatives with security, this might be a good thing. Like maybe this is good for Blades of Cain, because they have Dire Avengers that can essentially move 7 inches, right? So you could like, if you take a majority of Dire Avengers, which is probably not great, maybe it is for this, but you could like move really far and then put it down, and then you could just have like a bunch of models on guard or something like that, like overwatching your plant banner. But this is relatively difficult to max. Your surprise, all of these are going to be really hard to max. In fact, they're going to be hard to score in general. So if you were a plant banner, plant beacon, plant bacon homie, these are not going to be the TAC ops for you. Okay. These are all rather difficult to score and max. It seems as if they don't want TAC op to be your main primary every single game.
Like, yeah,
Yeah,
this is
elites, like you have to dedicate a model to stay near your banner.
mhm.
Hordes, you have to dedicate models to stay near your banner. Maybe it's good in certain teams. Maybe it is. Maybe if you have some really scary dudes, maybe Canoptic could use this pretty well because they have some really fast models, you know, and then you can pick them up. Or if you have a team that can use mission to pick up mission markers um, for free, you know, does does Exaction Squad have security? They do, right?
I
And they
think
have a
they
dog.
do. So you could do that. See, like the biggest thing is you kind of have to be really close to the center for this because you're essentially you losing 10 inches of the length of the board. So you're
Hmm.
really just playing right in that center. So you have to be able to be a kill team that can really hold the middle without losing it, right? Like
Hmm.
and you have to have security. So if you don't have those two things, then maybe this isn't something you want to take. Or
So maybe this is like the new central control, you know, like you're like, all right, I'm gonna put like one dude on my home base and then everyone else is going into the middle of the battlefield. This might be good for exaction, maybe, you know, like you put it near a couple of dudes with shields behind
Mhm.
like a light barricade, or you
Well,
wouldn't have a light barricade.
right, it's your opponent's side. But
Yeah.
you're right with the shields, and then you could just kind of hold and hope that they can't beat you off. And I know.
This
don't want to get
this
beaten on
will
the battlefield.
this will take planning. Just like most security ops, this will 100% take planning. You will have to plan, you will have to do stuff, and it gives your opponent Aegis in order to stop you from scoring, which is all right. Like this can be okay. I thought about taking this against Giacomo, you know, I did because I could just kind of like, he only has 5 guys, right? So like, because here's a tactic, right? If they only have 5 models, you have 14. I'm playing Deathcore. You know, I could just like, you know, just go everywhere. You know, like a fart in the room, just you know, go everywhere. And then wherever Giacomo's guys go, you know, I can like be like, oh well, he's really far from here. Turning point 2, I'm gonna move dash if he has +1 APL, move dash, and I'm going to plant like really far in your deployment zone. Thus, it would take one of his 5 models to turn around and go try and stop it, you know? So it could be okay into 5 model teams, maybe good into Raveners, you know, but it could also be really bad. I have no idea.
I
No idea.
think whenever you have more bodies versus your opponent, this is probably the best to take. That's the best scenario in my eyes.
Yeah, to take it. Yeah. We could be wrong, but hey, we haven't played this one yet. We
So
will,
we will
when
find
we
out.
have more experience with all these, we'll come back and we'll do a tier list. We'll probably do it like after LVO.
There you go.
Yeah. So we have Martyrs up next. This one is a very fun, a very cool one. This one is a lot better for hordes. This Tac Op season, we will see a lot more Tac Ops revolve around hordes. We might see hordes come back into the meta. So even though we have Death Watch, which is a really strong, we could see hordes come back just because a lot of Tac Ops are a lot better for them. Last last crit ops, you had really awful Tac Ops for hordes, just pretty much period, except for Beacon, right? Martyr, the first time a friendly operative is incapacitated while contesting objective. Then you would flip this card, you'd show everyone, and then whenever that friendly ready operative, or that friendly operative, not ready, it's very important, is incapacitated while basically a marker gets one of your martyr tokens, a martyr token, when he dies on an objective. If you contest it at the end of the turning point, you score 1 VP. If you also control it, you score 2 instead. So this also gives your opponent Aegis not to kill your models while they're on objectives, right? So they don't have to kill models on objectives. You don't have to die there. But then you're getting the crit up for free.
Kind of, because you still have to remove them. So you do have to control it by the end of the turn. So if you're unable to do that, then you can't score that part.
Correct. If they are able to kill all the models on that objective, then you can't score anything anyways because you could never do it. And then maybe it just has like 5
Objectives.
martyr tokens, you know?
This one I think is easier to score though, because if you're right, if you're playing hordes, you can just send some very expendable people to just be like, just die, and then you drop some points, and you can still overwhelm them, and then score some points off this objective. And cool, I got him. You know?
Well, it's really good for teams like Deathcore, because you can like be really aggressive with the plasma, move a plasma out on an objective, make a shot. Cool, your plasma's dead. He's going to die anyways. Now there's a martyr point on it. Then you could charge a couple models onto it, score the point,
Yep.
contest it. You know, you could do that from your back one too. You can just be like, hey, you're going to kill my grenade launcher? He's out. You want to kill him? You want to kill him? You know,
Yep.
it's good for Hearthkin. You know, Hearthkin are going to like this as well, because if they don't kill your model that's on engage, awesome. You know, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's good for sanctifiers, you know. Sanctifiers are harder to kill because
For some reason they're really hardy.
they're really hardy on objectives.
Some reason, you know, whatever.
Ultimately, in my opinion, this is the best security tac op, but it's not good for 5 model teams.
Yeah, because you don't really want to be losing bodies.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be if you just like overwhelm one side. So, like for instance, I was talking to somebody about this. My preferred Death Watch team is way different than Giacomo's. Way different. I would take the Breacher, the Marksman, the Leader, the Xenophase Blades guy, and the Aegis. Right? Those are mine. You know, three melee guys.
Oh, yeah, we just switched to two models.
Yes, 2 models. It's still way different, John.
I mean, realistically, the Breacher is the best Gravis armor there is. It's just so good.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
He's just literally the best.
So, like, one thing you could do is you could like throw all 3 melee guys at your opponent's home objective, because we'll see a lot of crit ops that require you to take your opponent's home objective. So you could take like the Aegis, the Watchmaster, and the Xenophage Blade and just rush your opponent's objective. One of them's going to die on it, right? Cool. Now you have 2 crazy Space Marines killing anything else on it, and then you can score it, right? So it's possible that it's really good.
I'd give you the counter of this is, if you're really strong, you might never die, and then you never can score martyrs, right?
If you if you never die, you might be winning anyways. Because
you might be winning
co-op,
anyways.
Right?
You might be getting a few more things.
But that is a problem. If you never die, you cannot score martyr.
So
that is true.
That is one of the downsides. So I definitely think you nailed it with the hordes, though. The hordes will love this. Yes,
it's a lot better with hordes.
They're ready to die.
Mm-hmm. It's also great on Canoptic, right?
On Canoptic, it's a good one. Anything with basically 8 or more models, I think.
Does Recca Crew get this?
They
I know they have seek. I know they have seek and destroy.
I think
they might have security too.
Because what else would they get? They're not infiltrating and they're not recon.
Well, they could just run their. Dude, we have to find out.
Well, because the squigs shouldn't affect this ability, if I remember.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. No, they would. Why wouldn't they? It's one of your operatives that dies on your thing. You know.
Let's double check that, because I believe that the squigs say that they can't.
You had the same question with my expended operatives. That was not the case. Remember?
I believe so.
Downloads, kill team. Where are they? Recca Crew. So we go to Recca Bomb Squig. What did these guys have first? They have seek and destroy and security.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the bomb squigs, this operative is ignored for all of your opponent's kill op and elimination op. It's also ignored for victory conditions and scoring VPs if either require the operative to escape, survive, or be incapacitated by enemy operatives. If it survives, so by enemy operatives, right? We go back to this one. You're killing yourself.
I guess, yeah, it doesn't necessarily specify. I guess that's a good point, yeah.
Whenever a friendly operative is incapacitated while controlling an objective marker, that marker gains one of your martyr tokens.
Right, and if
I
that
don't see why not.
yeah, and if
If
that
you guys
squig thing
disagree with us,
says,
let us know in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
So your squig runs up, blows himself up, gets yourself a martyr token on that objective,
Then
and
you
then
just
all
gotta
you
go
got to
take
do
it.
is go take it.
Yeah, which you can do as Recca crew. You could definitely do.
Ooga booga, ooga
Yeah,
booga.
they can be tough,
Yeah, pretty fun. Next up, we have Envoy.
Envoy's all right. This one's kind of like what was it? Escort operative or something was the old one.
Yeah, from 2018, I think, or the
Yeah,
2021.
this one can be good if you know you're going to have an operative that isn't going to be attacked or isn't going to be aggressive. They're just going to be on your opponent's side and just scoring points that way. That's the only time I really see this useful, and that's probably better on elite teams that can, or maybe not even elite teams, maybe on bigger teams like 10-man teams.
So how does this work, Giacomo?
So in the strategic gambit phase, you pick one of your ready operatives. You pick one of your friendly operatives, and until the next strategy phase, you can't select. Let me restart that whole thing. As a strategic gambit, on each turning point after the first, select one friendly operative to be your envoy until the ready step of the next strategy phase. You cannot select an operative you selected during a previous turn. And then in the turning point after the first, if your envoy is wholly within your opponent's territory and is not within control range of enemy operatives, you score a VP. If that's the case, and then they also haven't taken any damage, then you score 2 VP. Now, the way it's worded is if you take damage, but then you heal it, you'd still have lost wounds during that turning point, so you'd still just score 1 VP. So if your envoy can be really good about being by themselves, like your opponents aren't going to send anything, then this is an easy 2 points every time. I actually think Envoy's really, really good with like teams like Casterkin, where you can send a body and your opponent's not going to go after them because you just have other distractions happening. Then you're good to go. I think this is better for those kind of teams.
Yeah, I definitely could see that. I could see Envoy being pretty good. The only problem is Caster can die really quickly. Once that model dies, I've seen a lot of Casterkin players get wiped, right? So I still think Envoy is going to be very hard to max. It almost seems like a win harder one. Like you're kind of in your opponent's territory, and then you can keep attacking them. Hold on. I in the middle of this thought, what does Felgor have?
They have Seek and Destroy and Recon, if I remember right.
Do they have Recon? What?
If I recall correctly, because they're not.
Yep, Recon and Seek and Destroy. You're right.
So they're not going to have this. Yeah. But either way, they don't want to end within control range because then they can't score points. So this is for teams that want to kind of be hidden for a little bit. Vet Guard could really make use of this since you have so many bodies. You can be like, this guy's going to be my envoy who's sitting in the back until I absolutely need him to do something.
Rattlings might be good with this.
Rattlings might be good with this too. Well, they have to get into your opponent. So that'd be your grappling hook guy. He would be like, I'm going to do this at the end and I'm going to score us 2 VP.
Yeah, he's like a free 2 points. You're probably going to get 2 points on this no matter what, which is actually pretty good because there's going to be a lot of tac ops. A lot of times that you score 1 point on tac ops.
Right. So any number, and this seems the easiest to me to get. That being said, you do have to kind of plan a few operatives that are going to be your envoys because once one has done it, that's it. They're retired. They can't do envoy again. Or from the previous turn. So I guess you could just get 2 and just kind of juggle them back and forth. But at that point, if you have a good opponent, they're going to be onto you and start blasting those guys.
During a previous turning point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think is it a previous or is it all?
A previous. So you could have
you cannot select
A, B, and then go back to A since you didn't select it in the time you selected B. So you could juggle 2 of them if you can get really good at moving those 2.
Yeah, but I think I'm
sorry.
Right. It's also referencing. Right. No, but I mean, it's a good question, right? It's also referencing turning point. So
yeah, rereading this, you're absolutely right. Actually, yeah, because that was a previous turn. I was misreading that. So yeah, so as long as you got 3 guys you can plan to do your envoys, then you can score 6 points pretty easily. I think Hordes probably have it best for this one.
Mm-hmm. I think hordes do, but I definitely think that some elite teams can, especially if you don't expect your elites to die. The problem is late game, if you don't have a lot of a lot of members left, you're gonna struggle with envoy, especially if. Go ahead.
Yeah, like the one nice thing about Envoy is they're probably not going to die. They might take injury, so at least you're scoring one victory point. So that's at least something,
Absolutely.
some
Absolutely.
insurance.
Um, moving on. Speaking of which, kill op, they did not change, unfortunately. Kill op is the exact same.
Yep,
Very,
same as before.
very, very unfortunate. I would like to see kill op change so that we don't have to kill off everyone on your opponent's team, because it can be a feels bad for you and your opponent. I know that when I'm playing, I don't like to table my opponent. I don't feel good afterwards. I don't sleep well at night afterwards,
Right, but if you're trying to max out,
only
you
if I
have to,
maliciously hate them do I thoroughly enjoy it,
which I imagine is
or
pretty rare.
unless if they deserved it,
So if you lose all your operatives while playing against Dakotah, you know what's up.
Yeah, that I'm like, you made one too many colorblind jokes, my guy.
You're
This
outta here.
colorblind fellow doesn't like that. Doesn't take kindly to your neck of the woods. You know. Next up, we are going to talk about infiltration. Infiltration has notoriously been bad. Well, not bad. Implant was okay, right?
But now
we have plant devices. To be honest, I did not read the infiltration tac ops super thoroughly. I read them all. I was like, this one's the best. I don't like the rest, so
I mean, that's how players should see it, right? They find the
Yeah.
best and then they play it.
What
Look at
they
last
like the
season,
best.
right? We had plant
Yeah.
beacons every time, like every game.
Yeah.
But speaking of plant beacons, this is kind of its successor. So you do this the first time a friendly operative would plant the device. So you select an objective marker that active operative controls, and it gains your device tokens. And at the end of each turning point after the first, if your opponent's objective marker has one of the tokens, you score a VP. If for each other objective marker, enemy objective contest that has one of your device tokens, you score one VP. So it's an interesting one.
Yeah. So for each other objective marker that contests, so let's read this one more time just to make sure that we all comprehend it thoroughly. So you have a mission action. You can only do it once per turning point per operative. One objective marker, the active operative controls, gains your plant device token. Now, what is the negatives of this? An operative cannot perform this action during the first turning point while within enemy control range, or if that objective marker already has one of your plant device tokens. Okay. If your opponent objective marker has one, so that's the far back one. And for each other objective marker enemy operatives contest that has one of your device tokens, score 1 VP. Now this is interesting because you want them to contest your back home objective, or you want them to contest the middle objective, which objectively makes this difficult to score. The only way that you're scoring multiple times is if you plant your device on your opponent's objective, which may be difficult to do because you have to control it, like turning point 2, plant the device, and then you're guaranteed basically 3, right? Your opponents can't remove it. So you could just auto plant pretty much everything on turning point like 2, or 3. But if your opponents never go to the objectives, this one could be pretty decent if you put it on your own objective and your back objective, and you select tac op and you just let them run away with the crit op. But then you're letting them run away with the crit op, but you have to really focus on your opponents. That's difficult, man, because there's a lot of other tac ops that are like, hey, get to your opponent's objective or crit ops and stuff like that. It's interesting.
Now here's something I'm curious about. The wording says enemy operative contest. So does that mean you need to also control it and then you're both contesting? Or do they
So
just have
for
to control
each
it?
other operative objective marker, enemy operatives contest that have one of your device tokens. So if there's ever an enemy model on an objective marker, they're considered contesting it.
Gotcha. Just wanted to make sure that was the wording for it.
So,
so
when
yes.
you don't have, so even if you own the objective, you're still contesting it.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. So yeah, you're right. You would give up what potentially could be the crit op for plant device, which could work in your favor if you think your opponent's going to be really aggressive and try to get the mission that they can do. Then that's something,
I mean, it's interesting to say the least. I don't think it's bad. It's very weird.
Yeah, I think this so far this is decent. Because again, it's kind of like buying insurance. Whether you're getting the crit up, like I'm planning device also. So like if they kill me and they take it, I get a point.
So this might be bad for things like secure, or if you're going into like a good opponent, because they could just walk onto the point, tap it, and then move and get off. They could,
Yeah,
and
depending on the
completely
mission.
deny your plant devices, right? But there are multiple crit ops that specify whoever controls more. So if you're going to take plant devices, make sure that you're also taking it with the crit op that specifically you need to control more than your opponent, right? Because you have a much higher likelihood that your opponent's going to try and be on objective markers.
Yes.
You know, it's very important.
Yes, and
Very
this
important.
is a bit of a mixed bag against elites who might be able to counteract and just walk away after they've done the mission.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, so watch out for that. So be careful. Like if it's loot, they could tap it. Your device is there, doesn't matter. They could just back up afterwards or something. So watch out for that. Think about your opponent now. This is tougher now. They really making Tac Ops hard.
Yeah, but I would say like there are multiple victory, like multiple things that are like, hey, your opponent has to control it. And if they're not on the objective, they don't contest it, right? So, I think it still can be good during the right crit op. Next up, we have Steel Intelligence. I believe this is the one that I actually enjoyed. I'll take this one over.
For sure.
So the first time an enemy, so you reveal this the first time you kill somebody, right? Whenever an enemy operative is incapacitated before it's removed from the kill zone, place one of your intelligence mission markers within its control range. This is the new confirm kill, which is interesting because it's no longer in Seek and Destroy. It is an infiltration. Friendly operatives can perform the pickup marker action on your intelligent mission markers. And for the purposes of that action's conditions, ignore the first intelligent mission marker for the active operatives carrying. In other words, each friendly operative can carry up to 2 intelligent mission markers or one and one other marker, right? So if there's multiple markers they're carrying around, they can carry up to 2.
Cool.
So there are the victory points for this specific mission is at the end of each turning point after the first, if any friendly operatives are carrying any of your intelligence mission markers, score 1 VP. So you have to be holding 2. At the end of the battle, for each of your intelligence mission markers friendly operatives are carrying, score 1 VP. Now this is interesting because there is no maximum 2 on this one.
Yep.
Right? So on turning point 3, you could go around and pick up a bunch, right? And then you can, if you're still alive, this is the one that I would have taken for just striking scorpions where they have 3 APL and they have the ability to do this kind of thing. I definitely would have considered this. I think this one's pretty okay as long as you can live to the end of the game. Because you can just pick up 2 markers and then run away.
Yeah, as long as they're carrying it the whole time,
Mm-hmm. Or at the end of the game, G.
Yeah, because you definitely want to score some points during it too. But at the end,
you don't need to.
Carrying. You don't have to. You're right. Yeah, you could just carry 6 at the end, and yeah.
Pretty cool.
You're right. You could just have 3 guys with 2 each, and you score 6.
Mm-hmm.
So this is probably one of the easier ones to get if you have 3 APL. So like you mentioned, striking scorpions are actually.
But you still have to have 3 dudes alive. So
she's totally doable. You just make sure to pick on weak guys.
You're not wrong.
That aren't gonna fight back.
So take this one into weak teams. If you're gonna be like, because to be honest, dude, if I had to kill like all 5 Space Marines to pick up 2 mission markers for each, because you don't like a 12 wound operative doesn't drop 2. They still drop 1.
Yep.
This is objectively not great into elites.
I actually love this while playing Nemesis Claw. Because one thing I loved about implant was, I hated, I would always implant them and then kill them. So like I got 1 point. That's it. Now I can kill them and score it. So I'll get 2 points, more than likely going to get 2 points because they're elites. So they'll probably survive to the end. This is actually perfect for elite infiltration operatives if you got those.
Exciting.
And I think you're still right about striking scorpions. They could still do this too. Like if one striking scorpion kills somebody, the buddy comes in and picks it up and runs away.
Mm-hmm.
There you
Mm-hmm.
go.
So steel intelligence. What are you rating steel intelligence? I think this is probably like an A tier. Pretty decent.
A tier for sure. And if we had to go back to this previous one, I think
Plant devices.
the plant devices. I'd put this one in
Situational.
So that's falling into C tier for me. It's less likely I'm going to be using this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm going to use this one too often. There might be a couple of rounds that I would use this on. I'd probably put this in B tier for me, just depending on the TO or the event that you're going to. You should know whether or not you can, if this is going to be useful. Yeah, I mean, it's all right.
Right, because it's also kind of mission dependent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's like probably D tier usually, but it might be B tier, which probably makes it C tier.
That's what I'm throwing in C. It's a little too situational, like when it might happen. Where like the other one, Steel Intelligence, like, oh cool, I get it. I get points by just playing the mission. I was already going to kill you anyways.
Yeah,
because that's half the fun of the game.
So track enemy is up next.
All right. So I'll take this one real quick. So the first time you score victory points from this operative, this op is when you reveal it. An enemy operative is being tracked if it's a valid target for friendly operatives within 6 of it. That friendly operative must have a conceal order. It cannot be a valid target for the enemy operative it's attempting to track and cannot be within control range of enemy operatives. So this one was kind of like track target. I think it was called track target, or it might have just been called track enemy from last one. This one's still a little tough to do unless you have a lot of bodies with infiltration, that you could just be like, that guy's just going to stare at you and not do anything the whole time. Though you got to be within 6, so that's kind of the harder part too. Like you really got to just be there. However, if no enemy operative is being tracked, you scored if one enemy operative is being tracked, you score a victory point. 2 if it's the fourth turning point, and if 2 or more operatives are being tracked, you score 2 VP. So this one though, although it's a little harder to do because you get closer, you can score them. I shouldn't say harder to do. Although you aren't doing as much because you're kind of making a guy go within 6 to do the mission, you can actually score this one pretty easily in my eyes if you have that kind of team. But I wouldn't do this with elites who really need to use everything, because you literally give somebody up.
The problem is that the friendly operative must have a conceal order. Mm-hmm. So this might be okay for I think Ratlings.
I'd give this to Ratlings for sure. I would probably give this to
Commandos.
You could do Commandos. Mm-hmm. What are they? They're flame elves, mandrakes. This is decent for mandrakes who could just get in really close and just be like, I'm just going to watch you. That, and they have enough bodies that they can I can sacrifice a guy to just score me, 2 victory points or get me some points throughout the game and not worry, right?
Yeah, I think it's difficult because you want to kill people and this is anti-killing people, but if they go to engage, then you can kill them, which helps with kill op. I mean, this one seems harder for me as a player. This is not my play style. I would probably rate this rather low just because I'm not a big fan of the way that this would play. Sure, Ratlings are a lot of fun, but I'm also not a big Commandos guy. But the problem is in Commandos, you want to charge from conceal, right? You have to
So since you mentioned that, I actually think this one's kind of okay for them because the first turn you do this,
you can't kill the dude.
Exactly. You just do it the first time, so you score the points. Then next turn, you're already set up because you're within 6 to do the charge. Mm-hmm. So you kind of you're sort of setting yourself up and getting points. So teams that want to do that setup is good for it, which I believe is mostly just Commandos. And I guess Mandrakes could do it too.
Ratlings could, just because you could I'm going to track target on this guy or track enemy, mm-hmm. and then I'm going to run away. Because you only have to be within 6 of it to do the action, right? So you could do it and then as long as you're not a valid target and then run away. You can't do this while you're in close combat or charging somebody or in control range because you're a valid target. It also specifically says that.
Right.
I'm going to sneeze.
Bless you.
Of course, I said I'm going to sneeze, so now I'm not going to sneeze, you know?
No longer blessing you. Now you'll
Mm,
sneeze. No, but so
yeah.
yeah, so realistically, because you have to get this point at the end of the turning point, so you kind of have to be prepared to either run away right away the next turn, or be willing to charge that guy right after in the next turn, and then to have somebody else do it too. So I think there's only a few teams that really can score this in my eyes.
Well, this is also rather okay if you know you're not going to kill all the enemy models. So if you're going into Death Watch and you know you're going to struggle in killing models, all you have to do is track them. You don't have to survive,
Hmm. God
right?
forbid you play into Raveners who just may not be on the board for you to do this, because you also be within
That
6 of them.
that too. But if you do it and then they go into their hole, right? Then you're like, all right, cool. Like,
Yeah,
wait, does the model have to be on the operatives being tracked? Okay, so it just has to be tracked. It
yes,
doesn't have to be on the battlefield.
well, at the end of the turn is when you score it, so they have to be still meeting all the track requirements. So if at the end of
Yes.
turn they're not within 6 anymore, then so this this is a tough one against Raveners. Really pick models that you expect. Like, I think into Hordes this is okay because they might put a guy who's like, he's just going to sit here and not do anything, and he's not going to do anything, so you can get a little close and track him real quick, and then you know this one feels like perfect for Ratlings. Like, every time I look at this, I just think like Ratlings. This is perfect for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's all right. I'd probably give it a C tier. I think most things are going to get C's for me. Like, this might be all right, you know?
Just because I think the low number of teams that really benefit from this one versus the previous one that we definitely gave an A, the stealth, or steel intelligence. This one for me is also getting a C.
Yeah. I feel like this will probably be good on very specific teams and in specific matchups, just like how Plant Devices, right, is really good on specific crit ops.
Right.
And then Steel Intelligence is really good against like horde teams.
Right.
You know?
And most of the time, this is always
And you have to have 3 APL. These are like very like,
yeah,
they're like a niche of a niche. Like,
yeah, the steel intelligence has the most use because at least you could send a few guys to, like, all right, one guy kills somebody, he can go pick it up now and run away. At least there's that. So it's literally A tier. It has the best options for you to do. The other two rely a little too much on things, which may not happen. Because what if your opponent never comes close enough, or you only get it at the very end? Then like you're not getting the track enemy.
mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So I think we will probably try and rank these as like a full like list afterwards. We'll do our best,
Absolutely.
But next up we have Seek and Destroy.
Ooh.
So we have Rout. When I first read this, I was a massive hater. Massive. Absolutely. I just complained nonstop to Giacomo over the phone. He was at work and I was just Rout. Rout. I was very upset.
Through the day.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Rout is really weird. Very weird. It is, after thinking about it for longer, I think it's really good with very specific teams. It's very difficult to score. I will take it since I complained about it so much. It is Seek and Destroy. The first time that you're able to score this VP is when you reveal it. And then I'll read the victory points for our podcast listeners. Whenever a friendly operative incapacitates an enemy operative, if that friendly operative is within 6 of your opponent's drop zone, you score 1 VP. If this is true and that enemy operative has at least 12 or more wounds, you score 2 VP instead. You cannot score more than 2 VP from this op per turning point. This to me is very difficult to score unless if you're a very fast team. I believe Mandrakes could probably score this. Felgor could probably score this. Maybe, because you might just have some teams that just, you're probably taking Rout, or you might be taking Rout. I'm just gonna, or once they see you have Rout, then they just move everyone.
They have to
hide from their backdrop. Like, it's very playable. It's very gamey, right? But I think the best team with this is going to be Vespids. Vespids have a massive amount of movement. They fly really heavily
Hmm.
and they can just ignore a bunch of terrain. So I think it's going to be easiest for them to get within this range measurement. And then they have really strong guns, right? So those guns will also be able to attack. This might be okay for Pathfinders if Pathfinders can really get across the board into certain teams. Um,
I definitely think
if
you're right.
Pathfinders even have.
Yeah, because they have Recon and I want to say they have security. I think I could be wrong about the security part. I haven't played them in a long time. But this like you mentioned with Felgor, this is great for them because they want to just push forward. And if your opponent, so essentially from your opponent's side of the board, they have 9 inches that they kind of have to watch out for because if they're within that 9 inches, then that's where they start getting route. So you can always be really aggressive and push yourself forward and deny them route by not being within your drop zone
Imagine
area.
both teams take route and it's impossible for
Right,
either
because
team to
everyone
score
stays
any
right
tac op.
exactly in that little
Well, imagine all of
12-inch
your
bubble.
operatives are trying to get to their side of the board and all of your operatives are
Exactly.
trying to get to their side of the board and you're like, "Oh, I can't do melee if we're on opposite sides of the table." Oh, okay.
Right. So I think Vespids probably have a really good time with this. Though Route, I still think is fine into Horde teams who might stick back. Like if you're playing into Deathcore may not leave their zone, especially because a lot of the rules want you to
And
sort of stay there.
breachers
And
are a big
Breachers who
one that
want you
want
to
to stay
stay
in their
there.
zone.
So this is kind of perfect to counter them if you see that happening. And I think
Pathfinders and Brood Brothers also might stay in their side of the
Brood
table a
Brothers for
lot.
sure.
Hmm.
That
They like to
Magus
castle.
is like it's like the castle. So you can break their castle and get route. And you're probably not scoring 12 super often because elites aren't really staying back too often. Maybe one, but
Yeah,
you're probably not killing that elite.
you're not scoring this very heavily against Void Dancers, I don't think. Maybe you score it once by killing their Shadow Jester if you can get around all the other troopers.
Mm-hmm. Because they move
Inquisition,
quick.
maybe, you know?
Oh, Inquisition could be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Gellerpox, maybe if you're killing the back guys, but typically they're all trying to move forward too.
Right.
I think
And the
Route is going to be dependent on, again, the crit op. I think the crit ops, the thing that I like about this whole edition change better, right? Is the thing I like about this way more than anything else is the amount of tactical variety and the change it has tactically over everything. And it's going to really showcase skill rather than just taking beacons or taking hold them back or any of those kinds of things, right?
right, simple
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah. Yeah. So
What do
I
you what do
like,
you what do you rank it?
I don't want to say I like Route. Like, I'm going to give it a C.
I'm
I
gonna give
think
it
that it's good for
uh-huh.
very specific teams and very specific matchups on very specific crit ops. Um, it's uninspiring to me. Uh, like I like where they're going with it, but if I'm going against a team that might take route, I'm just gonna charge up the battlefield. The best team, maybe the best team with this is going to be Raveners. Raveners is going to pin you in your backfield, and then they're just going to like attack you. I'm just thinking of the time that I played against your Battleclade. You know.
Right. And that's the thing is you got into me really quick, right? Like so yeah, I would give this a B tier because if you can actually start getting in with big elites that like Ravenous, for example, they start just beating people up, they're gonna score these things pretty easily. But I don't know if Ravenous are the best. I think you nailed it with
Vespids.
Vespids and with Felgor. I think those are the two that are going to do really well, and also Goremongers actually because they move
Goremongers
quick.
too, yeah.
Yeah, they move
They do.
quick, and
They're
they
super
will
fast.
surprise your opponent before they get in there, and they will kill something. Who needs
Mhm.
12 or more wounds? You just kill a lot of little guys, and you're scoring the points.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's dependent on who you're going to be playing into. I don't think it's a great tac op to play into to Deathwatch. Deathwatch, dude, like
Because we're moving, you're in the middle of the board or on your
they
opponent, so that's what
have
you have
they
to
have
do.
they have five members and they're coming to you to fight.
Yeah, they have to,
We
or else, yeah.
yeah, and like Raveners, they're coming to you to fight. So this is very team dependent. You know, it's going to be very skill reliant now. We're going to see people be able to flex their skills in
Mhm.
events rather than just rely on rather normal tax, you know?
Yeah, Route is a counter pick for sure against security teams.
I'm going C tier. What did you say?
I'm giving it B because
Okay.
against most security teams, I think you can usually get this.
I
But we'll
just don't
see.
like
We'll
that you
see.
have to be within 6. Ugh.
That's a 9-inch bubble essentially, you know.
We got dominate. You want to take this one, G?
Absolutely. So you reveal this the first time an enemy operative is incapacitated while contesting an objective marker, or the first time a friendly operative performs the clear action, whichever one comes first. As an additional rule, when an enemy operative that contests an objective marker is incapacitated, that objective marker gains one of your swept tokens, if it doesn't already have one, until the ready step of the next strategy phase. So then you have your mission action clear. An objective marker the active operative controls is cleared for the turning point. You can't perform this during the first turning point or while within control range of enemy operatives. And so the way you score victory is at the end of each turning point after the first, if friendly operatives control any objective markers that have one of your swept tokens, you score 1 VP. If this is true and those objective markers are also cleared, you score 2 VP. And you can't score more than 2, so you could try to do this a bunch, but 2 is the max you can get per turning point. So pretty simple. You just run up to an objective marker. Let's say they're playing loot. You run up to them after they looted something, you shoot them, and then you clear it. This is decent with elites. If you expect them to run up onto the objective where you can probably wipe them out with your weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's good against teams that you think are going to take Martyr.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone who
you're both scoring
on objectives.
Yeah, and you're going to be, now you want to control their objective, you know. Mm-hmm. This also is like if you think that one of your opponents is going to take sweep and clear, that's when you're going to want to take your plant devices, you know, for an infiltration.
But a lot of counterpicking.
Sweep and clear is really, really, really good for Recca crew, I think.
Okay, yeah, I could see that because they have a lot of
the bomb squig, who's expendable, charges, blows up on an objective, and kills somebody. I believe you score 1 VP, right? At the end of the turning point, if friendly operatives control. So you have to control it, but you can give it a sweep token, and swept tokens stay, right? They don't go away. So you could do this on the middle objective. You could do it on the back objective with one of your little. Now, your squigs, they have a goal. It's no longer just find somebody in the open and kill them. They want to kill themselves somewhere, which is weird.
They want to kill the guy on the. They want to kill the enemy on the objective, because then that means you've killed them. So you can get that. Then you can have a guy come and sweep it, and like, cool, I got 2 VP now.
Yeah, or you could charge, fight, get an extra AP, and then you could tap it. You know, so and then you could clear it.
That's another thing. If you have guys that can do that, that's a good one.
And then if somebody comes up and kills your guy, then you have another squig to run in and blow them up too. And you're like,
you just give me more fuel. Yeah. This is an A in my eyes. There's no real downside to this because you kind of want to do this anyways, and your opponent's probably going to be on an objective marker at some point, and so you can take this from them.
I'm gonna go C tier, and I'll explain it.
All right.
There's a lot of things you have to do to score this one. You have to kill somebody on a point. Then you have to contest it. Is it contest? It's contest, right? You have to. Then you have to control it. And then if you also spend an APL to clear it, then you're score 2. I just feel like there's a lot of I feel like there's a lot of what is that called? APL investment, like way too much to like really justify scoring 2 points. Like plant beacon, I got one dude running down the field. I'm going to plant it. 1 APL action. Cool. This is like, I got to kill somebody. Then I got to control it. Then I got to sweep it. Or then I have to clear it. And that's how I score 2. I feel like there's a lot to do on it, and it's better for teams who have a lot of APL. I don't know.
I don't see it quite like that. Like if you're playing not an elite team, let's say a melee team, and again, most of these missions are going to have your opponent be on objectives. So you can charge them, you kill them with somebody, you scored the victory. All right. And then somebody else will come in and sweep the point because you own it now, more likely, especially if you're elites, because you just have more APL and you have a better chance of controlling it. That's why I think it's so good. But I understand what you're right. If your opponent's not on the objective, you're not scoring this. Right? Yeah. You're absolutely right about that. In a perfect world where I think opponents will be, and that's the only real thing you have to do, and make sure to kill them, which I like to think you're going to put your good weapon there. Because you don't have to do it in control range. You could have a guy shoot him from far, as long as they're on the objective and have someone else sweep it. But you do have to get that. That's the one thing. But that
The thing
setup's not too hard in my eyes.
for me, I think it's difficult because like if they're on an objective, they're more than likely on conceal, unless if they have martyr, and then like this is really good possibly for specific teams. Like I think Felgor are really possibly pretty decent with this. Um, elites are probably pretty good with it, but it is just pretty situational. I think the next security tac op is my favorite and the best of the seek and destroy tacs.
All right, show us. What do you think?
So I kind of give both C, and then this one I give A. Dominate, which I think was revealed already. I think. The first time an enemy operative is incapacitated by friendly operatives, each time a friendly operative incapacitates an enemy operative, that friendly operative gains one of your dominate tokens. At the end of the third and fourth turning point, you can remove dominate tokens from friendly operatives that aren't incapacitated. For each that you remove, score 1. This is hard into elites, right? Because you really got to dominate elites in order to remove. And then even if you're going into 5 operatives, you got to table them. And then you can only still score 5 points if you're able to score all of them. But here's the thing. These are tokens. That's important. It's important. They're not markers. So Raveners can pick up the tokens and leave the battlefield. Markers, you're not allowed to pick up and leave the battlefield. You drop them.
Yeah. So I actually don't know if Raveners always want to take this because, yeah, they can do a lot of damage.
If I'm going into this is my dream scenario, right? Raveners take this. I think this is like their Raveners' biggest win. Raveners start on the battlefield with their prime on the board and the Venom Sack guy on the board. If they get a cheeky shut off turning point 1 or turning point 2, and they're able to kill 2 people, maybe 3 people with the Venom Sack guy, and then he moves into the tunnel, goes into the tunnel, you auto score on turning point 3, 2 or 3 VP, period. If you're able to get a multi-kill.
Right. We're assuming that your opponent's gonna miss deploy or something, right? In the reality, though, that might not happen, and then you might just have like 2 points throughout, because a lot of time you're hiding, right, until like turns 3 and 4 when you're actually starting to do it. Not to say you can't suddenly have a crazy win, because I've seen a Ravener model come out and then kill 3 guys. Like, you absolutely could do that. I just hope you don't die on the way out. So it's definitely possible, but I think.
But the thing is, Giacomo, this is scored at the end of the third and fourth turning point,
right?
So, and you can score up to and they can score up to 3. Well, Raveners have 21, or they have 21 wounds, right? 20, they have 21 wounds.
Yeah,
20 wounds. 21
on the prime.
Yeah,
yeah,
and they heal. They're relatively hard to kill. I think this is my favorite tac op for really big tanky elites. Like, this is even probably what I might take against horde teams.
You definitely should
with Deathwatch.
Absolutely, because you can one shot them, and then that's cool.
The marksman can kill 2 people per turn,
and you get 2 dominates. Yeah. Elites probably have the best time into this, and this is like the absolute one for elites, and decently into like the models that you think will kill somebody and survive. Like, I don't think Sanctifiers have Seek and Destroy, right? I don't.
I can look.
That would feel like a weird thing for them to have, but I'm worried they might. They'd have like security, and they have recon, I think. But if they have Seek and Destroy, then you could take this too and just be surprisingly tanky and stop your opponent from like. Yeah.
Because they have Seek and Destroy.
Oh no!
And they have security.
Oh my gosh! Because you could take this and just be like, I'm going to kill a lot of the little weak guys. Have him retire from the rest of the game and score me 3 points over there while I still do the work. Oh no, that's really strong.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that this can be good on. You just have to make sure that they live, which can be difficult. They're going to have a target on their head once they kill somebody, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times it might be the end of an activation and they move out and they kill somebody, at the end of turning point 3, and they've killed 2 people now. And then it's like, cool, I'm going to score 2 points,
Yeah. Which might be the best thing, is to try to split this up into 2s if you can.
But what's crazy is that this is also from friendly operatives. So that means that you can have multiple people, right? Um, have these tokens.
Mhm.
Like you can score from multiple models. It just doesn't have to be one guy.
Right.
So I easily think that dominate, as long as that you are comfortable with your models surviving turning point 3 and 4, like this might be good for cults. Cult Chaos Cult. You know, you have a torment that's killed one or two models, or two torments that have killed one or two models. You score 3 points. End of TP3. You know, we've already talked about how hard some of these other tac ops are to score. You know, this one could be strong. Could be.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably not into elites, but against, because you may just not have
Yeah.
enough. Like if you're
Mhm.
fighting 5 guys and you kill 5 guys, you can only score 5 points.
Yeah. Five
So
Guys is a good burger.
it is burgers and fries. So yeah,
Mhm.
so into like, standard teams and horde teams, this is probably really good to take into it. And you still could take it into elites and be like, cool, it's just free points. You
10
could.
model
So,
teams, it might be auto take, you know,
yeah, it's
when you
hard not
start,
to want dominate.
if you drop below 10, it becomes harder. Maybe 9, yeah, maybe 8, yeah. 7, I don't even know if we have a 7. 6 models, I don't think I'd take dominate, but maybe it's your
It's
best case because you don't think you're going to score route. Because if you're going 6 models v 6 models, or 5
right.
models v 6 models, are you really going to score that many on route?
No, you should take dominate. Both players are probably going to take dominate.
Yeah, that's what I
So
think.
I got to change my previous one. After seeing this, my previous was going to go to a B tier, and this will take the A tier.
Okay. So we have dominate, sweep and clear, and route. So you think route is B, sweep and clear is C, and then dominate is A?
Yeah, just because route is still, it's not as easy as like dominate is literally you can just get points by killing something and surviving,
I
which is
agree
easier.
in I agree in this order, but I think sweep and clear can be good. Oops.
Of course, yeah, if you have the right option for it,
Yeah. Yeah, I think it can be good in the right situation.
but it does need just a bit more setup. Where route is like you do have to get a little closer, but there's less setup.
Yeah, because even dominate's still good in the teams that have martyr. You know, like you're gonna be like, yeah, I'm okay. I'll kill your model on that objective, and I'm gonna go take my tokens, and then I'm gonna fight you. You know.
Right, and you could still score points at the end, and just you make tac op nothing, and you both break on tac op.
So we have flank. I am a massive, massive hater on this. It's actually pretty okay. I can't tell you. So I don't know about you guys, but in school, I would read a textbook and then I would fall asleep about 5 minutes in. Has to do with my ADD, whatever, my learning disabilities and stuff. I could not read this card. I could not understand this card. This felt like I was reading the Hardy Boys again, back when I was forced to read out loud for 30 minutes at a time in second grade because I was so bad at reading, which you guys might be able to tell. Dakotah's not a great reader, It does take me quite a long time to start to understand the English language in its written form. This tac op, I cannot stand the way this tac op is read. I don't understand it. I will help you understand it. I am not going to read this card because this card is written very, very poorly, in Dakotah's opinion. Um, I will heavily criticize this tac op as being the worst worded crit op in the entire tac op that I have ever read. Um, that might not be true, but I have recency bias, and thus it's true for me. This tac op is amazing for Felgor. Absolutely amazing. You're still wondering, well, Dakotah, what is flank? Well, let me tell you. As you can see, there are 3 orange operatives in the gray side's territory on their side of a square. So you're going to split the kill zone into 4 zones. You have your left hemisphere, or your eastern one, and you have your western one. You score a point if you have more of your operatives than they have their operatives in each other's contesting territory. So if you have Felgor models in the enemy's territory, and you have 3 of them, like this one says, right? And they have 2 Pathfinder operatives because I like to kill Pathfinders in your territory. You have more operatives on this side of the Eastern Hemisphere, so you would score a point. Let's see if that scores you 2 points. Okay. After you reveal this op at the end of each turning point after the first, for each flank friendly operatives control, you score 1 VP. If friendly operatives also controlled that flank at the end of the previous turning point, you score 2 VP instead. So, if you want to score 2 VP on turning point 2, you have to have all of your Felgor in their territory on both sides of the table. Okay? That's what you got to do. That's what you're doing. Okay? Because then you're going to score both. And then in later ones, if you have all of your Felgor and you move them all to one side, right? Now you have like 20 APL on one hemisphere, the Eastern Hemisphere, right? Then you're going to score 2 VP because you don't need to control both anymore. That's the only way to max it. Okay? Why is this so complicated? I don't know. Why is it so poorly worded? I don't know. If you don't think it's poorly worded, let me know in the comments, or if you're listening to the podcast, come onto our Discord and tell us, that, hey, this is really easy for me to read. And I'll be like, congratulations, your college level reading level. Mine's high school level. Okay. Like I didn't, even though I have a degree, my reading is bad. Giacomo, did me explaining this help you understand it?
Yes, because one thing is I didn't have to read all the words. Not that I wouldn't eventually figure it out, but it's just one of those, we're playing a game. Now I have to read an additional thing or explain it to my opponent. It's just one of those, this kind of slows it down, and I don't love that. But the attack up itself is very good.
It is very good.
That's
basically, you're like, hey, I just got to get my dudes on your side of the board and have more
in your
on
quadrant.
I have to have more operatives on the north side of the border and more APL than on the right and left. This is great into Raveners because Raveners aren't on the table. You just want to run into their territory and just have a party, right?
Yep. And you have more than they would wholly within yours.
And then
Therefore,
you're good.
you flanked. Yep.
So you're having a good time, right? So this is great into certain teams. It's great for others, right? Notice how I keep saying Felgor. I do think Felgor are a huge winner of this Tac Op. I think that they're probably going to be an S tier team because I think they're going to be able to score a lot of these really easily.
They have good choices.
To me, written, it's an F. But strength, I'd put it as an A.
I put it as a B, but I get where you're coming with the A. Just because I don't think every team can do this. This is a little more geared towards certain teams that can run up the board, but those teams that can run up the board will score this.
Well, like Novitiates can do it. Pathfinders can do it. Felgor can do it. I'm trying to Inquisition could do it. There's a bunch of teams that have this who are going to be able to score. Do you want to be that far in enemy territory when you have Inquisition? Maybe not, but
maybe not.
Yeah,
right, because if you have a security mission, you might not be able to get this as always easy, or it just really depends. But I still think it's a B, but it's still very good. Like if you had to pick something, it's safe.
The reason why I like flank so much is because it's so good with the current crit ops. We'll go over the crit ops next. A lot of the crit ops are like, hey, touch your opponent's territory or touch your opponent's or do this or do that. So they're actively rewarding you to be in your opponent's territory, thus making this Tac Op very good, in my opinion. Retrieval is up next, Giacomo. Why don't you take this one? I don't know what this is.
So we will read it for you right now. So this is the first time you score victory points from this op use when you reveal it. And you have a mission action, Retrieve. If the active operative controls an objective marker that hasn't been searched by friendly operatives, that operative is now carrying one of your Retrieval mission markers, and that objective marker has been searched by friendly operatives. Friendly operatives can perform the pickup marker action on your Retrieval mission markers for 1 AP. So victory points. The first time each objective marker is searched by friendly operatives, you score 1 VP. At the end of the battle, for each of your Retrieval mission markers friendly operatives are carrying, you score 1 VP. So it's pretty simple. You just want to go excavate and just pick up stuff. So if you have like what one really fun one, if I remember right, they just came out and I can't remember what they have, but Battleclade, I believe they have Recon. So one of the things you may want to do is use your techno archaeologist to run up and use remote controlled so that you can just activate this, score 1 VP, and then someone else can go pick up the marker, and then you score 1 VP that way. Or if you have guys that can reduce the mission action, so if it costs 0 CP to just do the mission, then they can pick it up at the same time. That's another good one. Then you just have to hold it until the end of the game. And since this is at the end of the battle, you score the additional ones.
But
You just
there's a
got to do.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
Each operative can only hold 1 marker.
Yes, so you're gonna have to dedicate some guys to do this.
6 guys, if you want to max it.
Well, you can only score 1 VP for each thing, and you can only get 3 markers, because once objective has been revealed, then it gets a marker. So you can have a total of 3 markers. So you need to have a bunch of guys just being able to pick this up and run away.
Yeah, I guess you're right. So you only need 3, right?
Only 3. So this is decent. I don't know if you want melee teams to do this.
You're getting 2 on this pretty much no matter what.
Pretty much at least 2, because at least even if you just do the mission objective, you get a point, which is pretty simple. It's
difficult. Yeah. It's difficult for some things like on loot, because you have to go up, you have to tap the point, and then you're going to have to retrieve with a different model on your own point, and then you're going to have to retreat with that model so it doesn't die, and then you have to do that on the middle objective too. So then you have to dedicate 2 models to tap the point, and another model will come up and search the point, and then run away
and hold it. Yep.
It can be difficult. It could be easier for teams like Corsairs who can light fingers, it could be easier. And they're fast, right? So there's definitely, I think it's situational, and there are probably some crit ops that this is probably better with.
Yeah, I think that is pretty much accurate how we should look at it. I would put this at a B tier because you'll at least score some insurance points. You may not always survive to carry them at the end as easily as something like Dominate, where you just gotta shoot a guy and then fight him in melee and then just be like, cool, I own this side of the board. I'm not gonna lose more. This guy's not gonna die, so I'm gonna score these points.
Yeah, I'll say this is probably B tier. You'll probably get between 2 and 3 points on average, which is pretty good for
Tac Ops.
These Tac Ops. Scout enemy movement. This is probably the one that most people I've spoken to, most content creators who got these cards, are split on. Some really think it's really good. Some think it's the worst Tac Op ever. What do I think? I have no idea. I don't know if this is good. I don't know if this is bad. I think it's very situational for very specific teams. You're never going to max kill op if you take it, and you want to max this. It's good for Pathfinders. It's difficult. So let's read it. Scout enemy movement. Reveal the first time an enemy operative performs this. Yeah, friendly. Performs the scout action. Mission action. Scout. Select 1 ready enemy operative visible to and more than 6 inches from the active operative. That enemy operative is now monitored until the ready step of the next strategy phase. An enemy cannot perform this action while it has an engage order, during the first turning point, or while within control range of an enemy operative. So you have to be on conceal, right? So that means you can't shoot unless if you're a Ratling or somebody else who has the sniper from Pathfinders. And then we also have victory points at the end of each turning point. After the first, for each monitored enemy operative that's visible to friendly operatives, you score 1 VP. Note that this doesn't have to be a friendly operative that performed the scout action. You cannot score more than 2. This is difficult because you can scout an enemy and then they could hide. And then you could scout an enemy and then they could hide. And then you have to come out and you have to look for them, which isn't bad if you can out activate them, but I think this is a really bad tac op for going into teams that have really low model counts because they could just start hiding their models. You're never going to score it. It's also not great for teams that don't have a lot of extra activations because it is another APL tax. We'll go over. I think that there's a lot of taxing going on with APL in all of the tac ops and crit ops. So we'll kind of do a nice overview at the end of the crit ops section. What do you
Ooh,
think, G?
I totally get what they mean when it's split, because I actually think this is pretty decent. Not for necessarily scoring points, but you can absolutely scare your opponent. Like, if you come out, I'm going to scout you. You're going to give me those points. Like, I'll make sure to get those points out of you, because it is easy once an opponent's scouted. It is easy to get. They just have to be visible. They don't have to be
Not
a
if they
valid
get.
target.
What if they can just counteract and walk away?
That's what I'm saying. So then that means they're not putting themselves in a better position, because you would just counter by putting a guy where they would want to go, but then they'll be visible. And now,
But
like, cool, free point.
but also it's select one ready visible operative. So they can't move out and then you scout them. You have to scout them before they move.
Right.
So when you're scouting, you are prioritizing scouting over scoring points and over killing enemy models.
See, you can dedicate with enough bodies. I think this is better into 10-man teams. I wouldn't take this into smaller man teams who need to do. Oh, maybe Phobos, because they can do the mission actions for free if you take the warriors. Into bigger ones, you can dedicate a guy to be like, you're going to scout, and I'm going to make sure that either you decide to let me scout you, or you have to go somewhere less favorable for the next turning point. And you're going to kind of force your opponent to sort of have to choreograph their moves differently, unless they want to just kind of give you the scores. That's where I think the real trick is in this one, because you're right, you can just move away and disappear and never be a option for them. But if they're doing that, they might not be moving where they want to go, and then therefore not doing the crit up, which means you can go ahead and do the crit up. I see why people they could like this and they could hate this.
I'm a big hater. I'm
Go.
going to give this a C or D tier. I think it's too much taxation. You know, you are already getting taxed a lot on the crit ops. You're getting taxed a lot here. You're getting taxed a lot trying to open doors. Vulkus, it's really easy to stay hidden. I just think it's not that good.
I think since you only need to be visible, it's too simple. It doesn't need to be valid. If this was valid target, this would absolutely be in the dumpster for me. But because
Okay.
it's just visible, I just need to see part of you, and then, like, I got you. And then
Okay.
I can dedicate a guy to move scout. It doesn't matter if he dies now.
So hashtag most controversial.
Yeah,
tech op.
I give this a B tier.
All right.
Putting this in the B for me. Wow, this was a controversial one.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I honestly think flank is probably the best. And then what do you think between enemy movement and retrieval?
I'd probably put retrieval. It's just a little
Or do you
easier
think
to.
they're equal?
Personally, Recon for me is everyone's pretty good in their own different route. So, like, overall, I'd give the whole thing a B. But I would probably put scout enemy movement at the bottom if I had to pick them in that
So
order.
about like this order:
This order,
flank,
sorry,
retrieval, scout. Yeah. So where are we putting the each? Now that we've gone over each tac op,
we need to do security real quick. I don't think we did securities.
we did it first.
Well, we didn't do the ranking. That's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Martyr first. I think it's situational, but
Yeah, I would
for
do
me,
Martyrs, Envoy, and then
then
Plant
Envoy,
Banners.
and then Plant Banner.
Yeah, that feels like the options for him.
And I'd probably say like A or C, depending, like, because it's not good for certain things, you know. Same thing with Envoy, and
Yep.
same thing with Plant Banner.
This is also a B tier Tac Op archetype.
Really?
It might be
So you
C,
think-
because it's a little more situational for each one, like overall.
So overall, what are we saying for? I think security is relatively safe, and you're probably going to score at least 2 points for most things. I think that I'm going to put it in probably. Yeah, C could be good. I'm going to probably say B tier. I'm going to give it, I think security is probably the most improved out of all of them, because I think security was okay back then.
I think I gotta put it in C, but that's just based on one game we've played.
That's fair.
as of right now. We'll know more in a little bit.
We sure will. This is our initial impressions, everyone.
Initial
because
impressions.
Recon, I'm gonna say Recon's probably B or A. You know, I think it's overall a lot of their ops are still pretty good.
Yeah, if you're scoring 3 to 4 points, I think I can consider that B. And most of these, you'll probably score 3 to 4 points. If
Yeah.
somehow you can max, even better.
So do you think that Recon's better than Tac Ops or than security?
I think so. I think it's in a B tier for me.
Okay.
I think it's just a little easier to do if you have this.
I think it's team dependent, everyone, you know. So we're gonna say that Recon currently is better than than security. Then we have Infiltration, where we I think Infiltration is probably tied with security.
I think it's tied with security. So I was thinking the same thing, right? And C. There's one really good one, but then there's two that are they're fine.
And Seek and Destroy.
I think that's the winner personally, because Dominate is very good. Sweep and Clear is decent, and I think Rout is decent.
So you think this is the best one out of all of them?
Dominate itself really carries a lot of the weight. Like it's
coming from the elite player over here.
Like, and even if you're playing a standard team beating up another team, like I'm Felgor and I hit you harder than you hit me. And therefore I get to dominate and score points before I die because when I get what's it called? Not enraged. What is it? I forget the move's called now.
Frenzy.
When I frenzy, I can still score dominate on the turning point or something. Oh no, because I think you die at the end. Never mind.
You die at the beginning of your next activation.
Oh yeah, so you can become frenzied that turn and score the points.
The Mauler can kill two people, die, and still be around. Yeah, it's pretty
right. So it's like I think dominate is just so good for that reason that it carries this up, and the other ones are decent in my eyes. I know you feel different about Rout and Sweep and Clear, but I think to me that puts it up to A. Just dominate itself, just like that's going to be the one I see probably the most. I can be wrong though.
In my opinion, I think that security and probably not security. I think this is probably the most improved Tac Op range. I think there's way more playability than there was before because it was just elites. I think this heavily favors elites still, but I think it still has play with other teams now, which is like #most improved. But I think it is probably just as good as Recon.
Yeah, I think these two are probably the orange and the red are probably the ones that are winning.
I think if you play horde teams, security's probably just as good. You know, I think it is just as good, but if you're playing other types of teams, security could be a trap. And then infiltrate. If you're a tricksy little kill team player, this is going to be great for you. So I think that they're all relatively similar levels. But you know,
right. And the nice thing is
first impressions.
We talked about this before, where there's enough variety in each archetype that different teams could take this depending on what they have. And it works. And I think that's that. If that was their design, I think they nailed it. I don't know if that's their design, but if so, I think they got it. I think they got it right.
Yeah. Next up, we're going to talk about crit ops. We're going to blaze through some of them. Some of them are pretty simple because we've seen some of them.
You want to go through the classics? We'll go
Secure's up first, right? Relatively simple.
Yep.
It's S tier for me. It's an amazing Tac Op for competitive play, or crit op for competitive play. I'm going to judge these based off of like how viable they are for competitive. I think it's pretty great. You know,
tried and true. Yeah,
tried and true. Yep. Next up, loot does favor.
For those listening, by the way, Secure. And for those who are unfamiliar with the crit op, by the way, Secure was a previous one that existed. You just had to control an objective. Once you tapped it, it was yours, and that was it. Just own
sticky. That's what we call the sticky
objectives.
One. Yeah. You stick it, and then if you leave, your opponent can come and steal it from you. Loot, you have to be on it. You have to hit it every time. And loot is also S tier. It favors hordes typically more, but that's not a bad thing. You know, we should have some that favor hordes and some that favor elites.
Yes.
We have transmission up next. Notice how all of these are costing mission actions. That's going to play a big role in my upcoming overall thoughts. Transmission, also tried and true. It's been around. It's in the core rulebook. Also S tier. in competitive play, or if you want to have a very balanced game. This is going to
Yep.
be very fun.
This is an
Um,
interesting take on the hold more than your opponent because you have to hold more of the transmitted objectives,
mhm.
which is nice. And this is cool because you can steal ones that have already been transmitted and just own the ones that your opponent transmitted and take it, and you got it.
It's just like secure, but anyone could do the APL dot, and then you don't have to do it again. You just have to take it from your opponents.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So next up, we have Orb.
Okay, this
Now,
one is interesting.
Orb favors horde teams dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that this is quite fun from the people that have played it, but ultimately, this is probably this one and Reboot are probably the two that made me the most angry. This was also another rage one that I call Giacomo on.
Yep.
I think Orb is innately bad for competitive play at 3-round events. I will repeat that. I think Orb is innately bad for 3-round events
Tell us why.
because we are actively playing points denial, which is bad for first time experience of players. It's if a player shows up to a game and they score 0 on kill op, they score 0 on tac op, and they score 0 on orb because they chose to take death watch because they heard it was good, and then they get tabled because they don't know how to do anything, they're going to feel real bad, and they might just walk out of your event. Right? This orb does favor your opponents knowing how to play the game well. It favors sanctifiers. It favors people with high activations, right? So let's read through it real quick. At the start of the center objective has the orb token. If the active operative controls the objective marker that has the orb token, move that token as follows. If the center objective marker has it, move it to either player's objective marker, your choice. If a player's objective marker has it, move it to the center one, right? And this costs an AP. There's a lot of tax going into this one. When you can't do this is when an operative cannot perform this action during the first turning point while within control range of enemy models, or if it doesn't control the objective marker that has the token. Also great for Battleclade's 4-inch remote access. At the end of each turning point after the first, this is how you score it. For each objective marker that friendly operatives control that doesn't have the orb token, you score 1 VP. So it is possible to completely stop somebody from scoring your crit up. And if you kill them throughout doing this as well, it is very easily possible that they score 0 on crit up, which is an innate reason why I dislike it. I think it's okay for larger events, especially around 4, 5, or 6. I think that this adds variety, and I think it is a fun one. I think it's great for narrative. The other problem that I have with Orb itself as a crit op, right? It feels like we're playing Unreal Tournament. I love Unreal Tournament. I love it. It is not Kill Team. I don't know why there's a random orb. I don't know why we're passing it back and forth. We're not playing hot potato.
We're playing reverse hot potato.
Yeah.
You don't want it.
Yeah. This is very much it takes me out of the element of in the 40K universe, right? I just don't think it's narratively driven. I don't think I think it's probably fun, right? I haven't played it yet. Me and Giacomo plan on playing it on a tac op. Maybe I'll change my tune, but yeah, I think a lot of people, this is a community favorite. Everyone keeps doing orb memes. What do you think, Giacomo?
Well, people like to ponder the orb, I think it's fun playing reverse hot potato, reverse orb, because you don't want this, but I could see what you mean, where someone could feel bad, like, okay, you keep giving me the orb, and that's the only objective I can have, so I'm scoring nothing. Because you could just control it. Or if you're right, if hordes have this, they can kind of set up guys to always be trying to tap the point and throw it away so that they can score the points, which makes sense. That's what you would want to do. I think I'm coming around to it more the more I've read it, and I think I got to try it before I can really hate on it. So I'm gonna give it like a safe B.
I'm gonna give it a C.
Cool.
I think it's okay sometimes, but this should not be a go-to for your events. Should not be your first 3 at minimum. State claim is up next. We have this one's interesting. This is a very, very interesting mission. For instance, the victory conditions, right? At the end of each turning point, if friendly operatives control more objective markers than enemy operatives do, you score 1 VP. So we are seeing control sneak its way back in, which I really enjoy control. That's innately good for the meta, and it automatically makes this a better tac op, in my opinion. Because you're putting agency into your players' hands by playing this mission at events or just in general. If you hold more, you can score a point, right? If you never hold more, cool, you're never going to score a point for it, right? But then we have stake claim, which is weird. It's weird. Giacomo, do you know what this is, or do you want me to take it?
I'll take it through this one. So at the start of the gambit step of each strategy phase, after the first, starting with the player with initiative, each player must select both one objective marker and one of the following claims for that turning point. So your claims are: you can have friendly operatives control objective markers at the end of this turning point. So they go, that objective marker, let's say objective marker A, we're going to control at the end, we're going to score 1. Or you can also have enemy operatives won't contest A at the end of this turning point. So basically you guarantee, like, I'm going to get this, or I'm going to make sure my opponent doesn't have this. So you cannot select each objective marker more than once per battle. So you must select each objective marker once during the battle, and you got to give it a claim. And at the end of each turning point, if friendly operatives control more objective markers than enemy operatives do, score 1 VP. That's easy. Control more, score an objective. And then if you get your claim, you score 1 VP as well. So if you're confident that, like, I can control this and I'm going to own more than my opponent, I'm going to get it. This is a little bit more of a win more, because you can get 2 pretty easily if you're, like, good at this and your opponent just won't. But reversely, if you're both decent, you both can be like, I'm going to deny him from getting that, and I'm going to make sure I have that. That's what your opponent says. Because they both are selecting one of their claims. So in theory, it could also just be a easy 6 points for both sides. I enjoy stake claim. I think it's decent.
I think stake claim is going to be easier scored for more advanced and better players, but I innately like this one because it rewards playing the game. And also, this is very kill team to me. This is not Unreal Tournament or Quake. This is very much like, hey, we're going to do this. We have our goals. We have our missions. We're going to do this. Bada bing, bada boom. If you do, you score an extra point. If you don't score a point.
Yep, easy. Just, you got to just do it. But I think it's
So
a good one.
This one I'm probably going to give an A.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. It's decent all around.
I think this is a great, if you're going to be running a 3-round event, I think this is a great number 3. I think this is a great number 4. I think this is a great number 8. I think this is a very good mission to throw in to shake up your typical 3 that you would normally see. Yes. And you can only score 2 from this because there's only 2 points allowed. I noticed that it didn't say, like, you can score a maximum of 2, but there's a reason why.
Yes, you got to control more, and you got to be able to get the
energy cells. F tier. I hate it.
This is a weird one.
I dislike it tremendously. I think that we're playing up the tax a lot. I have a lot of great jokes about taxes coming up at our, at the end of this. Energy cells. I dislike this one a lot. Operatives can perform the pickup marker action upon each objective marker in the following turning points. On turning point 2, you must spend an additional 2 AP. That action cannot be free, and its AP cannot be reduced. On turning point 3, you must spend an additional 1 AP for that action. And on turning point 4, it's as normal. So it's additional. So to pick it up, it's going to cost 3. So if you're going to do it on turning point 2, you have to have 3 APL. Guess what team can do this really easily, Giacomo?
Only elites.
Canoptic. They can get up to 4 APL on an objective marker quite easily early on, pick it up, and run away with their leader very easily. I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to breach onto this other side of the wall. Hey, guess what? You're never gonna get this. Whenever an operative is carrying an objective marker, that objective marker cannot be removed and set up more. Whenever an operative is carrying an objective marker, that operative cannot be removed and set up again more than 6 inches away. Okay, I lied. You cannot teleport. You cannot do it.
You're stuck. Once you have this is all you have. So I dislike this for a different reason, but we're going to come to the same kind of conclusion. I don't like when objective markers move.
Yeah, I don't either. But
and you made a good point. Like you can have a guy hit 4 and just disappear, or kind of like move away really fast.
You can fly with it. It just can't be more than 6 inches.
Well, that would be removing and setting up. So I don't think you can fly. You have to walk.
Again, more than 6 inches. So you can do it 4 inches away or 3 inches away.
Well, I think it's saying since it can't be removed, right? And you remove yourself when you fly. Right? Do you for
no removed and set up again more than 6 inches away? So it's an and statement. So it's removed and set up. So that means fly more than 6.
Right. Yeah, I guess you're right. You could fly. You could go up to 6. You're right.
Yeah, but I do think that this might be, you cannot interdimensionally breach, molecular breach over walls, because you cannot measure through walls. So if you do over a wall, you'd have to measure around more than 6 inches. I don't know, Games Workshop. Clarify that for us. That's weird.
Yeah. This will be a weird one. But either way, I never really like when you can move objective markers. Imagine if they disappear.
Imagine putting Grizzly Marker on one of them.
And just picking
it costing 4 APL,
like you're just
to pick it up on turning point 2,
because you can't reduce it.
And then 3 on turning point 3, and then 2 on turning point 4. Like, what Horde team is ever going to pick up the energy cell?
They will not.
They would never will. It will never happen.
Yeah, this one is kind of not great just because it's taxing a lot, and I don't like when objective markers move. And you're right. It'll feel bad for some teams. It's just like, I can't really do this.
This is just feels bad for players. When you start to see these things move because maybe an opponent has it, or they thought of something or quickly or something like that, and then they just like have all of your cells and they just run away from them. You know, it is what it is.
It depends.
It's not fun.
It's not my favorite. I would put this in the D.
At the end. Yeah, and how you score them is at the end of the turning point. If friendly operatives control more markers than enemies do, you score 1. At the end of the battle, for each objective marker friendly operatives are carrying, you score 1. So typically, you're just playing for 1 point on turning point 2, but to hold more on turning point 3, you might be picking up 1. You know, you maybe if you have 3 APL, you know, and then moving away at the beginning of it. Hopefully, you don't have scout the enemy.
Right. Here's another thing of like, look at the crit up.
Yeah. So this is like, I don't think that this should ever be played competitively. I don't like it. I think it's bad. That's just my opinion, though.
I don't like moving.
Feel free to disagree. I don't like moving objectives either. I don't think a lot of people do. It's something that Games Workshop loves to do. They're just like, we're always going to have one that you can pick it up and move it around, but we're going to make it really hard to do so. It's like, all right, what are we doing? Also D tier or F tier for UG?
I put it in D.
Download is up next. I love Download.
This is a decent one. It's a lot of fun.
This for me is S tier. I think this one goes up with the top tier competitive ones, in my opinion.
Because it has one of the easier things, which is score more, and the mission action is simple. You just have to go in the middle or get the one in the back, and once they're tapped out. So it is kind of a bit of a fight, and you have to kind of, you know, decide whether it's worth taking that or, you know, fighting a dude in the center. And it's still good. You can catch up. It's one I like. It's one I enjoy.
Yeah. So basically, Download is a singular AP action on a marker that you control. Okay. You can only do it. Any marker can only be downloaded once, right? Yes. So that's important. The middle objective is worth 1 download point, and your opponent's objective marker is worth 2 download points. So you're actively trying to get to your opponent's side of the table to download theirs, because you cannot download your own, but you want to stop your opponent from downloading yours. So you still want to not just give 2 free crit ops up, you know? So it's a very tricky one. But also you score VP from this by holding more than your opponent. So you can, if you hold more than your opponent on all 3 rounds, turning point 2, 3, and 4, you score 3 VP. If you're able to download the middle one and download your opponent's, that's how you max it. I think it's very interesting It's very tactical. It's very kill team. I'm a big fan. I think this is great.
Yeah, download knocks it out. And seven
Yeah.
is number 7 is great.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely S tier for me. Then we have data up next.
Oh,
This
man,
one's
there's a lot.
okay. There's a lot of data. There's a lot of literal data. Gee, why don't you take this one since there's so much text, you know?
Sure.
You
You have
like
two.
reading, right?
I do like reading. You have 2 mission actions. I'll go over the first one. Just compile data for 1 AP. One objective marker that active operative controls gains 1 data point. Use a dice as a token to keep track of data points on that objective marker. You cannot perform this action during the first turning point while within control range of an enemy operative, or if that objective marker has already gained a data point during this turning point. Then you can send the data. So you can remove all data points from an objective marker the active operative controls. An operative cannot perform this action during the first, second, or third turning points. This happens at the end, while within control range of an enemy operative, or if that objective marker doesn't have any data points to remove. And so the victory conditions at the end of the second and third turning point, if friendly operatives have performed the compiled data action during the turning point, have performed more compile data actions during the turning point than enemy operatives have, they score 1 VP. So you want to make sure you have your guys compiling data. When a friendly operative performs the send data action, you score a number of VP equal to the number of data points removed. So you really want to
Awesome.
compile on a bunch of stuff and make sure you're doing it more than your opponent and then send it off. It seems a little confusing, but I think teams with more bodies probably have the edge on data just because they can send guys to do this.
Yeah, I'd probably give this an A tier ranking for me. I
It's
would use
decent.
it at an event. Essentially, you're kind of doing loot, right? So you could score. Does this not say you can score only 2 victory points per round? At the end of the second turn and third turning point, if friendly operatives have performed more compile actions than in that turning point than your enemy operatives, you score 1 VP. Okay, there you go.
Yes, and then at the end you can score the bulk of the points at the end.
Yeah. So you have to be first. You have to do. So this is innately bad with scout the enemy, right? This is one that you're like, oh, I'm not taking scout the enemy because I really got to focus on tapping the crit op points instead of scouting a dude, right? But essentially, you definitely want to tap a point, compile it before your opponent does, because it's scoring you 1. And if you're able to do it a second time, this is great for GA2 teams that have 2. There's not nearly as many anymore. So we're going to see this be good with horde teams like Brood Brothers, Deathcore, Inquisition.
Tau, right? Pathfinder still do it?
Pathfinders. I think, yeah, if they take a lot of Shas who have GA2s, you could see that, you could get them up on 1, tap it, and then shoot somebody, or scout the enemy for their second AP. So I think that this could be a very fun one to play. And then at the very end, it rewards you for surviving. So it's interesting because when you're compiling data, you're innately in a risky position. So you're going to be scoring points in a risky position. But typically the models that are scoring this at the end of the game are the ones that were safer or the ones that were tankier. So send data is going to be great for Raveners. So you're going to score a lot of sending data. So you like the Raveners are probably going to want to straight burrow to the back objective marker for their opponents because they know, okay, I'm going to need to use all of the where are those at? I'm going to need to use my +3 to initiative to win turning point 4 so that I can, and my reroll that I got so that I can secure pop up and just nuke the back lines.
Yep,
And then use my third
data.
APL to steal all the data. And then I get 3 points, and then my Rekka already has the one in the middle, so like, I think it's going to really be interesting that the tankier teams are going to be better at sending the data while the horde teams are going to be better at compiling them.
Yes.
So I think that we're going to see possibly a lot of ties with data. That is my first inclination, but I don't think that this op is bad other than there's so many words. It could be confusing for people who do not comprehend well the first time they read. Because when I read this, I just put it down. It gave me a headache, the very first time.
But I'm glad you kept it because data is good. Data is good.
Yeah, data's good. And then
Data's
we
good.
have another Tac Op that I do not like, Reboot. This one was also shown off in the article. And in fact, unfortunately, Warhammer community showed off both of the worst crit ops, I think, in the entire pack. In my personal opinion. So Reboot is number 9. If you guys have already read it, it was released on Warhammer community a couple weeks ago. When setting up the battle, after setting up objective markers, each number each objective markers 1 through 3. At the start of the gambit step of the strategy phase, each player secretly selects one objective marker by putting a number of dice in their hand that corresponds to that objective marker's number. They then reveal their selections simultaneously. If both players selected the same one, that objective marker is inert this turning point. If not, the objective marker that neither player selected is inert for this turning point. Reboot, 2 AP. This is why I don't like it. It costs 2 action points. So it's really bad for anyone who has 2 action points. One inert objective marker the operative controls is no longer inert. This objectively is better for teams that have 3 APL. Or heaven forbid, you're playing against Legionary and they put 1 on the middle objective and they just make sure that the middle objective... Okay. Victory points. At the end of each turning point after the first, for each objective marker friendly models control, score you 1 VP. Ignore the objective markers when determining this. So I think it could be very difficult to score. It is weird. I do not like it. I think it's probably fine to play at events. I'm going to give it a D. You know, I don't think it's a failing one, but I don't think I will use this.
I see that. I think it'll just be a lot of times where people are going to go like, all right, your home objective is 1, my home objective is 3. Here's what I'm going to reveal, 1 and 3. So neither of those are going to have points. The middle is going to be the only one we're going to score on. And that's annoying. So
no, that one would be inert, right?
Oh, well, because if they choose the same one, that one becomes inert. If they choose the different ones, those 2 that they chose that are different numbers become inert.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, that's why I don't really like this for being like, oh, I see the one you're going to try to score. I'm not going to let you have that. We're only going to fight in the center. And it's just kind of like, okay, I guess that's what we're going to do this whole game.
And then like you could choose the center and your opponent could do that. And it's like, oh, well, my objective is the only one. Right. I don't know.
And it's just not, it's not one of my favorites because of it. It adds a little more RNG to it. This is probably not, like you mentioned, competitive. Probably not my favorite. I'd be fine playing this in a casual environment where it's like, all right, we're having a little bit of fun here, where I'm already playing kind of wildly, but not where you don't want to have too much random variables.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think I talked to Giacomo about this. I don't know if anyone else has the same mindset, but you kind of look at chess. It is the peak level of competitiveness. Nothing changes. Everything is pretty much the same. And you have different formats of gameplay, right? When you start adding in a ton of variability to stuff, it becomes innately less competitive, in my opinion. So, that's how I view it. Now we're going to move on to maps, and then we're going to do our overall opinions. I have, if you guys don't know who I am, I made the asymmetrical Gallowdark terrain for the past 2 editions that were widely received across the world that people really liked for LVO. And I also had a couple other map packs that people have really enjoyed. I almost view maps as an art, and I think that I have a very specific philosophy while designing maps and what I think is good for maps. So I am, I guess, egotistical when it comes to maps. I have a very high opinion of certain maps and the way things should be done. I look at it mathematically and a bunch of other things for competitive value and competitive sake. So we're going to move on to Giacomo. What do you want to do? Do you want to do Tomb World? Do you want to do Vulkus? Do you want to do Beta Decima? Or do you want to do Gallowdark? Let's start with Gallowdark. And then okay. I'll save us all a little bit. Gallowdark didn't change. No new maps. Exact same. I am not a fan of GW Gallowdark terrain. There's one map that is okay. The rest are just giant rooms. Gallowdark is going to GW Gallowdark is going to be even worse in this crit op edition because Gallowdark specifically, you need more equipment. These are giant empty rooms. So you have to spend your equipment on these things, on like light terrain and heavy terrain, which is innately not going to feel as good. You have giant rooms. This is one of the reasons why Brood Brothers are so good and Sanctifiers are so good in Spain, is because they're just giant open rooms. Anything with Seek Light is going to do really well here. I just don't think it's very good. So on and so forth. There are new beta Decima maps. I guess we could speed through. We could speed through some of these. Let me move this way. Beta Decima map number 1.
Yep.
That's one. Beta Decima map number 2. All right. I do like that they're going. I like this one better because it has more playable space. I dislike that there's like such massive space and there's no light terrain. Here's number 3. This is the map. This is the third one. Take your screenshots if you really enjoy Beta Decima. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it. That is not a map format that we play very often, if ever. But I have designed one for narrative, and when we go over our narrative pack for LVO, we shall show you. It is a mix of Into the Dark and Beta Decima. Okay. The only people that are going to care about it. Ooh, look at that. You could really, Giacomo, you could change up maps by folding. Oh, okay. Here's map 5. Is there a marker in the middle of the ocean?
Yeah.
What?
For those who are listening, there is an objective marker that's in a spot you're not allowed to step on. I mean, I guess technically there's control range, but that
no,
seems
there isn't
weird.
because this is 3 inches tall. What are we doing?
Would we be measuring from the bottom or from the physical
Someone
objective?
explain. Is this a this has to be a misprint. What? Is there supposed to be? Is this one supposed? Oh, I guarantee you, this one's supposed to have the thing down the middle. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Well, the thing down the middle get the red objective so that you know it's on the bottom. That's a black objective, which would imply it's on the top.
Okay, this is just
who knows
this
what
is
happened?
this is the worst map ever designed because Gray literally can't score their home objective. Worst map ever made. Moving on. I'm gonna flame map 5. It's gonna become a meme. Map 5, Beta Decima. This one is beneath the thermometric condenser. Cool.
Okay, so you know it's under. Okay.
Cool. None of us care. Cool. If you cared, I apologize. Don't play map 5. Don't do it.
I don't think you can physically.
This is the best map, by the way. This is Mordor, right? It is the best map. Okay. We're gonna move on to Vulkus up next. We're gonna save Tomb World for the end. Okay, I have a lot of problems with this map. This map is the second worst map in the entire pack. Period. And I will explain why. This map is so bad, I am going to ask every TO that I know that is watching this video right now not to run this at competitive events. Let me tell you why. So we have over here, Gray side has 2 strongholds in their deployment zone. Okay. You have an objective marker in the middle in your deployment zone and the middle one. Whoever's on Gray side essentially can just play here, this really small area, and just keep all of their operatives in 2 of them. Meanwhile, Orange side has to play on this objective and then fight to contest this one or fight to contest the one over here. I think innately this map favors Gray side so horrendously. It is awful. You can score the middle objective from here or from within control range touching the heavy terrain or touching the heavy terrain over here. And a lot of operatives are just going to have to charge from this direction. They're going to have to hide over here. Well, you could put a model on this side that gets free line of sight shots to here. Like, it's just innately bad. Like, there's no great way to assault this one. It's not very good. So I think that your own home objective is kind of hard to hold, right? Unless if you're on the fire step, looking over, and then you're in heavy terrain, also covering it. So both of these are also in heavy terrain, while this one's not in heavy terrain. Moving on. Giacomo, what do you think about map 1?
Well, like you said, you have 2 strongholds you can have that's already superior. Like, anytime you can have the better defense, what do you even do? You can, again, step the fire step, own it, be inside the other thing, own it. You could put a guy on top of the rooftop so he can also defend. It's easy.
Yeah, it's not very good.
It's very, very strong for the gray side.
This map is so close to being good. It's so close to being good. Orange side, again, is stronger because you have an objective here. You have an objective here that is really strong. Because it's in the middle in your territory. So again, orange side can just play this side of the map right here. Mm-hmm. And then they can score. This is a very strong objective, and it's going to be very difficult to take from gray. It's going to be difficult. The only thing that I would say that this pack needs for this map to be competitively viable, which we will be updating in the Squad Games Vulkus pack, map pack, will be to move this orange objective up to here. If you move it over to here, all of a sudden, both of these are equidistant, and neither one of them has an advantage to the black, right? You could say that this side has an advantage because there's a door, but this has an opening. I think this is innately a good designed map. The objectives are just in very poor places, in my opinion. Giacomo, what do you think about map 2?
Yeah, like you mentioned with the orange, it's real simple to control. You could just, like you already pointed out, you just control that one section. You let them have the stronghold, whatever. I have 2 objectives to your 1. It's not really that problem. You know, most crit ops are going to favor having more anyways. So
you could also put a heavy barricade right here.
Yeah.
Because within 4. So it's 1.
And you could still get it within control 4. Range.
You can still be partially within control range of orange. Very difficult. So, okay. We have map 3. This one's also a competitive map. This is one of my more favorite maps from this Vulkus map pack. I think it's pretty good. There's not much more to say. It has the nice line that goes through the middle. A lot of our map packs you'll see either go this way, or will be triangular. It's the only really mathematical way to make really viable maps.
For your objective maps.
We have map 4 up next. This one's also really bad. Can you tell why? See if I've hammered this into Giacomo enough.
I mean, it's easy. You just play the 2 sides, don't play the center, because you can already control your main home objective, and that one's in the open. That's easy. Your opponent can't do that though, not as easily.
Yeah, you could really just stick a model in heavy here or hide them right here. On this side, you can just play to this side of the map. You can score gray, and you could score this one. This is a very, very safe objective. So this map is kind of competitive, in my opinion, but I would like to see this objective in the open and this one in the direct center. But, you know, that also provides more difficulties. This would have to become heavy because that would be heavy. So you'd want a little bit of parity between the two. Otherwise, this black one is also just very, very much in the open, right? You can shoot it from this side really easily. There's no cover from the orange side. That innately makes the gray even better. Besides the point. Okay. Next up is map 5. Map 5 is another competitive map, in my opinion. I think it's pretty okay. You know, I don't think it's bad. It's a pretty decent map. So on and so forth.
It's very it's kind of symmetrical without really being symmetrical.
Yes, which is always a sign of a good map, in my opinion. And then you have map 6. Uh,
Kind of has a stronghold issue again.
oh no, this one's awful, Giacomo. You
Yeah, like
have
that's the
not
problem is you
only
could just control the stronghold in the middle and
stronghold with the third vantage,
Mhm.
stronghold on this side, and a vantage on this one. What does this side have? One of these,
that's it. Yeah, you don't really have a good way
and
to
this is
you're
in
running
the
and just
open.
dying.
This is in the open. What are we doing? What are
It's a
we
rough
doing?
one.
This is a rough. This is a very rough map. You know, who let the dogs out? I don't know.
They
Giacomo,
were
let's go back to this one. This one's interesting. Back to number 2. Do you notice that G is also on this objective?
yes.
I have to put the terrain down to see if the terrain is actually on the objective. This will be the second crit op pack in a row that if this terrain piece is on the marker, that means in 2 years in a row they would have put, from what I understand, markers are not supposed to be placed under terrain. Last crit op pack, markers under terrain. It sure looks like a marker's under a piece of terrain.
Yep. And
But we have to see the actual piece of terrain to see if it actually is. But it sure seems like it. I'm just saying.
I think it's gonna touch it slightly.
And then for the people who naysay me from my rules videos, right? Determine the kill zone and set up terrain features to ensure the terrain types are specified. Determine shared crit ops and set up objective markers. So you set up terrain and then you set up markers, which means you have to remove this piece and then put the marker underneath it. Because there are people that come out and say like, oh, well, you set up the markers first and then you put the terrain on top. No, that's not how it works. It's pedantic.
Not always.
Next up, finally, before we do our overview, we have Tomb World. I hate this map. Do not like it. I think it's not very good. Why do these exist? So we're looking for, I believe, A3s and B2s are the breachable walls access. I'm a really big fan of including so many breachable walls, right? I'm a big fan because breachable walls are just a way to show asymmetrical differences, right?
Mhm.
In map design. So you can have one side have more harder to open doors than the other, making it innately asymmetrical, which is great for Into the Dark because it's really hard to show asymmetrical for Into the Dark when Into the Dark wants to be symmetrical. It really does. Also with Tomb World is much easier to assemble for this kind of stuff and much easier to make different maps because they have 4-way connectors, and Into the Dark really only has 2-way connectors, sometimes 3, and very few times 4. Very difficult to make Into the Dark maps. Games Workshop also made it a lot easier. Let's not actually draw on this. Games Workshop made this a lot easier to have giant rooms because Games Workshop likes to make giant rooms when they make Into the Dark terrain because they added the light terrain and the teleporters into competitive. So that's important. So the
Yes.
T's are the competitive and all the C's are all light terrain. Okay. So we have an A3 right here. This is a breachable wall. B2 is breachable. A3 is also breachable. So it's very difficult to get into this middle room. So both of these objectives are insanely easy to just hold on to and never worry about turning point 3 or turning point 4. Why would you ever want to go into the teleporter here and then teleport over here? I don't know. Some of these maps I find teleporters are meant just for envoy purposes or to chase down crazy operatives, but you're spending probably a turn just getting here, and then you're spending a turn to get from here to here, and then you're spending a turning point 3 blowing up the door, and then you're going over here to turning point 4. And heaven forbid they try to fight you here because neither operative, no one is getting to the either objective if there's ever a fight in that hallway. So there you go. There you go. That's that. Map 2. We played this map. I'm a big fan of it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, this one's fine.
Giacomo, we played this map in the battle report. What did you think of it?
I think you can get to pretty much everywhere except for that red objective marker. That one's a little harder to get to.
This one over
Um,
here?
yeah,
Yeah,
but
I would agree.
for whoever's controlling the gray side, you can really like own that bar because you have the door versus your opponent having to breach if they're not taking the breach stuff.
Yeah, this
Which is
door is a 1 APL to open. This one's a 2 APL to open.
and that's exactly what you do. You defend that side and you just kind of get that one. Middle is decent in fighting.
A1 is breachable and
Mhm.
B2 is breachable. So maybe this one I messed up. A1 is breachable, B2 is breachable. So this is a normal door, and then these two are breachable doors. Sorry.
It's all right. Yeah, this one was nice, and then the bottom objective is pretty much anybody's game. There's a good amount of stuff to get in there. It's even enough. It's even enough that I enjoy it, and the teleportation spots are in a good place, so you can really get across the board fast. Yeah, it's overall a pretty good one in my opinion.
Games Workshop stole this from the very first Kill Team edition 2021 when they released Gallowdarks. This was one of their competitive maps without being competitive. A very similar map with a very similar setup, but there was 6 objectives. So there's like one in here, one in the middle, one over here, one over there, one over there. Yeah, it was pretty decent. And it was okay back then.
Yeah, nothing wrong with recycling if you can improve it. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, this is a very symmetrical map, and yet it's not because of the way the doors are placed and the way that the breachable ones are placed. So that's why I think this is a good map, because it's symmetrical yet not symmetrical. Very good. Very good job, Games Workshop. Map 3 is interesting, and I don't hate it, and I don't like it. Giacomo, what do you think about this in total? We have the teleporter here. Kind of easy for gray to get to. It's not a breachable wall. A3 is also easy to get to this teleporter, so they can kind of cross map if they need to. A1 is the breach access, and there's another breach one. So this is a difficult room for gray to get into in general.
That's what I was going to say. Whoever can control the middle easier probably has the better chance, which I think orange has the access to it. Because you're right, both of them can get to teleporters pretty quickly to get to the other side, but the middle is what you need to really control because that's the hardest one to get to. Because gray has to get all the way to B3 to even open a door,
Yeah, you can open the door and get to here. If you don't have 3 APL or the access to 3 APL, you're going to be getting to this middle door. And then turning point 2, then you have to blow it up, and then you have to go in there with a different model if you don't have access to 3 APL.
You really need that breacher, and you really need that AP2 to make that work. If you don't have that on your team,
I love the narrative aspect that they've added to having breachers and having these mines and these other guys, these grenadiers, to be able to blow up walls so much easier than others. And I think it really makes, like, the mine layer from Deathcore, who's awful. He's an awful model, but he's actually useful here, and you'd want to take him into Tomb World. I think it's a very interesting thing, an interesting play style. And pretty much he's just used to open doors.
Yep, there you go. Now his job is opening doors, and he might have a bomb that he can put down sometimes. Your melty guns too.
You can get some crazy shots off on this. I love how aggressive these teleporting pads are. When I design maps, teleporting maps and stuff like that, I like some of my maps to be really aggressive teleporting maps, and I want some of my teleporters not to be as useful. But I do think that Games Workshop ran into a trap with some of the teleporters. They definitely, in their map design and their map philosophy, they want to use all the terrain that they provide, right? They want to make sure that all of it's in, and cool, every map is that. But I don't think every single Into the Dark map or Tomb World map necessarily needs teleporters, right? Like, so you can make good maps without all of the light terrain. You can make good maps without all of the teleporters. So I think I have a really interesting thing that I want to talk about maps here when we talk about our overview. Map 4, very weird. This is a very interesting map. It's kind of similar to my normal bread and butter map that I typically that made a long time ago, Giacomo, in the last edition, where you have the 2 half pillars and the open section in the middle, but then it's very different with like the giant
way that
the rooms and stuff. The thing about the teleporters in this one is that this one doesn't make sense. I don't know why we're teleporting from here to here. They're not threatening objectives. You could use this for Envoy. You could use this for other things, but I don't necessarily think that there's like a reason to have teleporters, or at least in their current positions on this map. I think it's definitely interesting, and I'd want to play it more before I make like a final judgment because I'm not an expert on teleporters. This is also one of the few maps that they actually have light terrain right next to the markers that they have, which is interesting that you can actually hide next to them. So this is better for Seek Light teams. It's interesting. I don't think the map is bad. I'd have to play it. This one's a little difficult for me hard to imagine. This one is a breachable wall, open. Why is there a line right here? Do you know why that line is emboldened around this?
I think it was drawn in and they just didn't take it out. I have this feeling objective markers replaced it or something.
It's the territory line. So there's a black emboldened line. Yeah, we figured it out.
There you go.
We figured it out. Yeah, interesting map 4. Map 5. I like this map a lot because I think this is a very unique map. And this is one that I'll probably use at our events. I like that there's a giant opening right here that people can rush down. I like that the teleporter goes from this random room to over here, and the gray team can kind of threaten to come over here. And then in one extra turning point, they can then threaten to come back around. It's a really easy deploy between the two. The orange one can also threaten this one on the same side. So it's very symmetrical in that aspect. You have very equal play. You have an A3 and a B3, so you can easily enter this room both ways. And there's a B2, so you can enter this. So it's not super laney. You can enter it, but it's difficult. I think this is a very unique map, and this is probably my second favorite Tomb World map made so far. What about you, G?
Yeah, because the way you can threaten the board and jump around, the teleporter actually make a lot of sense here. It looks pretty fun, and there's a good amount of everything else. Mm-hmm. Not much more to say there.
Yeah, this is a map that I definitely want to play on. And then we have map 6. This one's bad because we have an objective on the orange side in the middle, and then we have an objective over here. This objective should be equidistant, so we should probably have one here and one here. You can't put it in the middle of this, so it's kind of triangular, but it does give the orange side more priority by being able to threaten this one, and they don't even have to play for gray.
Like if orange had maybe more breachable walls that were towards the objectives, then at least they had to play with certain models to get it. Because right now they have doors that could just kind of walk through and do some stuff. No, they have a couple breachables, right? The B2s are breachable, or B3s?
B2s, yeah. So it's hard to get to gray. It's hard to get into this one, but you have a teleporter from here to here, right? This is breachable wall. That's a breachable wall. This feels very laney to me, and the only thing that's stopping it from being super laney is the teleporters. But even the teleporters are in orange's advantage.
Right. I think orange still has the advantage. Yeah. The more I'm looking at this.
To me, this just feels like orange has a major advantage, which maybe Games Workshop was trying to say like, hey, we really want orange to have the advantage on this, but it could make gray feel really bad on this map. I don't necessarily know. The only reason why you go into this one in the first place is to get into here or have easy access over to to gray. I don't know. It just seems like there's so many attack angles from orange here. I think orange just has an overwhelming advantage. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to not be orange in this one.
Yeah, and you don't even have like this, like maybe you could put this objective in cover. So it's like, okay, now there's a reason why I choose this side is because now I'm protected from a bunch of attack angles. No, it's in the open,
Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
They did decently with these ones comparatively. So
they did. This is a massive improvement in my opinion. A massive improvement from their Gallowdark maps. Giacomo, let's do our overview and let's get out of here.
Absolutely. If I had to look at this really quick, this Crit Up pack feels very different, which is good, right? So like and I think that's how it should always be. They had some things that if you're used to it, like the classic missions are fine. They've completely redone the way Tac Ops work, and I prefer the changes because there doesn't seem to be an automatic pick, which would kind of gets a little boring when you're watching certain competitive events. Like they're always going to take this one because it's always the best. The variety is nicer. So I give, and it's harder to score, which means you won't just have absolutely dominating games. It'll be a little more, closer. I think where someone will be like, I'm playing the crit op, I'm playing the tac op, and they kind of just meet somewhere in the middle, closer to the middle. So I think overall, I give this an A. I like it overall. I'm not going to really count the maps because that can change based on tournaments. We're going to have different maps than what they necessarily use. So I don't want to put the maps in, but most of the time we're going to have a majority of the crit ops and everyone will have access to tac ops.
Yeah, I definitely think that this is a market improvement over the last one just because there's so many easy things to score. I definitely think there's also a detriment that it's harder to play. So it's kind of like a positive and a negative, you know? I think that it's harder to play, so it's a little bit more negative. I think it's better that it's harder to play, you know, because some things were just so easy and some teams just struggled. I think this is going to be a massive shakeup just completely to the whole scene. Um, Elites are going to have some extra. They're going to be good because they can do all the mission actions and they can do all the tac ops. Horde teams will struggle more because they can't. The tax is too great, you know. But they are better at doing a lot of the tac ops, so they will be better. So it's a nice parity between the two rather than it just being so elite favored in the first place. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot of good things to say about it. My taxation joke is that Games Workshop really likes taxes. You know, they like to tax you. They're from the British Empire. You know, there's a reason why we broke away in the first place. You know, it's just the taxes. Kill Team is very much the same. We're just getting a lot of taxes. That's my really bad joke. Maps wise, I think they did a better job. I think Vulkus is objectively worse. Tomb World is objectively better. Other than map 5 on beta Decima, also looks better. Gallowdark didn't change. Very unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, overall, I think that the tac ops are great. I would like to say something else. There's a lot of people who take Games Workshop maps as like gospel. They are just there to show us how, if you don't know how to make a map, you should use these, right? I think that they are very good for beginners, and I think they're very good if you're a beginning TO. But if you are more experienced TO, right? Look around, look at other communities who are making other maps, see what you like, you know, or make your own, you know, and then make sure you publicize them to your opponent, to your player base, and make sure that you're open to feedback. That if people think that it's awful because you put all 4 vantages on one side of the board, obviously it's a bad map. You know what I mean? So I think that we've, as a community, have lost a lot of creativity from the last edition to this edition with maps. I think a lot of people are just sticking with Games Workshop maps, and I think that's that sucks for going to events because you're just going to play the same things over and over. We saw the same thing with Vulkus. Even we didn't change Vulkus. Vulkus is very difficult, but we are doing some massive changes for the Las Vegas Open. We're going to have some crazy new maps and some new design philosophies for Vulkus, for Open, and for Into the Dark. So hopefully you guys are excited to see some crazy stuff. I even talked to Giacomo today is that we should make a cracked map pack, call it like the cracked, gosh, it's so hard to say.
The cracked map pack.
Yeah, the cracked map pack.
It's just funny to say.
And then just do some like crazy things in it, you know, like just mix all the kill zones together. Like you can't jump over or move over or measure through into the dark walls and have other things happen. It's like, hey, play these maps at your own risk, just to have fun. I think it could be fun, add a little bit more variety. I think that a lot of people are getting burnt out on certain things. I think Tomb World is going to be an amazing thing. Like I even imagine like in the cracked map pack, we even have teleporters in Vulkus, you do some crazy things.
Why not?
Like you could 100% just make it Unreal Tournament. If you want to play Orb so bad, right? Let's just put teleporters in Vulkus and just go crazy. We have the rules.
Yeah.
Why not?
And breachable walls exist in Vulkus. They came out with the brutal and cunning set. So why not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
why not?
You could do all kinds of crazy fun stuff, and still make it competitive. Yeah. Pretty fun stuff, be like, oh yeah, we're using the cracked map pack. I was like, what is that? Yeah. Big fan of the new Tac Ops. Again, thanks to Games Workshop for sending us the cards early. I think this is a really bright step for Kill Team in the future. And yeah, I'm pretty excited.
I'm very excited too.
Yeah. Well, we're going to round out this podcast from here. Giacomo, do you have any shout outs?
Of course. So you can join the conversation by either leaving a comment here if you're watching this on YouTube, or by joining our Discord and leaving a message there. Tell us what you think about the new Tac Ops, which one you think are the best, which one you think are the worst. Are all the crit ops worth taking? Or are you only going to pick a handful of them for your tournaments? And what maps are you going to play? Build them out, find your favorite ones, do those. You can follow us there. You can also check out other things like the battle reports we have. If you were already watching that, cool. If you haven't, you can go watch that right now and see some of the stuff in action. And we're on Twitch. We do that every now and then as well. We also have the Hobby Highlander if you're looking to get more painting advice or just painting stuff in general. Check that out as well.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to producing a how we painted Tomb World video here soon. I'm going to do my best. I've never done a painting video before, but me and Giacomo have been painting for quite some time. So if you guys want to see some painting videos from us, make sure you guys put it in the comments. If you've made it this far, that shout out to you. Oh, we can't forget to shout out Alex Popov.
Oh
we
my gosh, we almost didn't.
Yeah, we almost didn't shout out to Alex Popov.
Shout out to Alex Popov.
Yeah. And David. We have to remember to always include that no one in the West Coast plays Phobos or Commandos, just to piss off David.
That's it. Yeah, nobody does.
Nobody plays them.
He's a hipster.
Sorry, David.
He only plays hipster teams.
He paints himself purple, so he doesn't count as anybody. Giacomo, is there anything that you want to say at the end of this podcast for people on YouTube or Discord to come out and say anything? I would like to thank our patrons though, because they keep this channel going. And also we've had a huge uptake in subscribers for our channel lately. And I think it's due to a lot of the videos we've put out. So thanks to that. Thanks for, if you're new here, and if you haven't seen our new shorts, go check them out. We have Sweat Lord one, and we have, a Tyranid one, and we're going to be coming out with more shorts here soon. So if you like short content, give them a shot. What did I ask you, Giacomo? It's getting so late. Oh, okay. We need to come up with something. What do they need to say in the comments?
They need to say, Crit Up 2025.
Crit Up 2020. That's so lame.
That's easy. Beta Decima's back, baby. It never was here. It was never here.
Oh, we should have them say, okay, Beta Decima is back, baby is pretty good, right? That one's pretty good, especially if they reference map 5, especially if they reference map 5. You could say Beta Decima map 5 is the best. No, let's just say Beta Decima is back, baby. I like that one. Yeah, that's good.
Simple and easy.
Yeah, it's objectively not true.
It was never here.
It was never here to begin with, unless if you live in, the northeast of the United States. Next, I believe they do. Dude, you know what's going to be crazy with Beta Decima? since it's already an awful terrain system, they should 100% add in teleport pads.
That's what I was thinking. Just throw them in.
Throw in the teleport pads, throw in into the dark walls, make your drop zones safe, remove map 5.
Cracked map pack, here we come.
Yeah. So tune in next week. We're going to have some great stuff about maps, and we're going to be debuting our own map packs. Hopefully I can finish it in time. The Into the Dark one is nearly complete, and then I just have to do the Vulkus one. So it's a lot to digitize them. They take quite some time. I've been working on it for quite some time. So yeah, should be good. Giacomo, thanks for always being awesome. Shout out to you, and shout out to you for watching this video.
Take it easy, guys.
Peace.
See ya.
I would like to thank Games Workshop for sending us I would like to thank